You're looking live at Lenin Central Stadium in Moscow, site of the fourth and final day of the track and field competition of the Goodwill Games. Hello again, everyone. I'm Charlie Neal, and the previous 3 days of track and field have been all but everything that you would want to see in track and field. Meanwhile, 5 world records have been set here at the Goodwill Games, 2 in track and field. It was Jackie Joyner of the United States setting a world record in the heptathlon just 2 days ago. Last night, right here at Lenin Stadium, Sergey Bubka of the Soviet Union set a world record in the pole vault, 19 feet, 8 3/4 inches. Tonight, we could see some more world records fall. Dr. Leroy Walker is working with me. How about some of those races we'll see tonight, Dr. Walker?
Well, Charlie, you're quite right. We could have other records go tonight. You have the peerless Edwin Moses, who is going to put on the line his 110 consecutive victory streak in the intermediate hurdles. Inside of him is Vasiliev from the Soviet Union, and outside is going to be Patrick and Young, and that should be a great race. Edwin says he's ready for 47 plus 400 meters. And then I think, although Willie Banks is out of the triple jump, you have 3 58-footers still there. Markov from the Soviet Union, who's a European champion, is over 58 feet. So is Simpkins, and so is Conley. I think, too, that this is probably the best ever field assembled for the high jump. It may take a world's record to win. We have arrested Carl Lewis.
Okay, it should be an exciting night. Maybe some world records will fall. And we'll be back with more track and field and the rest of our Goodwill Games coverage after this.
Network Television proudly presents the 1986 Goodwill Games from Moscow and from Madrid.
Anticipating one of the greatest days in track and field in many years. What competition, as you heard just a moment ago from Lenin Stadium. But the one thing I think we're all looking forward to most is that matchup in the 100-meter. Carl Lewis, Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson defeated Carl Lewis in their last meet. Carl Lewis has said recently that he is more pumped for this track meet than he has been at any time since the Olympic qualifying trials. So we should see some blistering times and great competition, particularly the rivalry between Canada's Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis of the United States. Well, with swimming behind us and the track and field events finishing today at Lenin Stadium, we can begin to see patterns emerging in the performance of the athletes here in Moscow. Looking at the medal count, the host country leads all others, as was to be expected at this point. But one surprise in the early successes of the U.S. swimmer, especially the women, which has kept the U.S. in the hunt for total medal honors. East Germany, Bulgaria, Romania trail, but they should gain some ground soon with rhythmic gymnastics starting today and gymnastics starting tomorrow. I might want to insert right here also that just a reminder that only the Soviet Union and the United States are in all the events. As you look down through the listing of the events, you'll see that some countries don't have very many, but remember that some countries are only in 1 or 2 events. Of course, the big events of the day are out at the track, where we'll be seeing live both Carl Lewis and Edwin Moses in competition later in the show. But coming into today's competition, the Soviet Union has banked almost twice as many field medals and track medals as the U.S., which speaks to the depth of the Russian team and their excellence in the field events. And Nick, we also have a brand new sport debuting today.
That's right. There will be other elements in our coverage tonight, Bob. Water polo started. The U.S. team that won a silver medal in Los Angeles is a nucleus of players who have been together since 1980. The American boycott that year deprived them of their chance to go to Moscow. Now they're here and in the water tonight. And later in the show, a talk with the spectacular Sergey Bubka, who soared to another world record last night and electrified the Lenin Stadium crowd. That interview, water polo, and a compelling night in track and field, all ahead as TBS's coverage of the Goodwill Games will continue.
And we have some late information. One of the most puzzling stories at the track the past couple of days has been the confusing way in which the heats have been handled. Well, we have some information now from the chairman of the Soviet Department of Track and Field and the director of the Goodwill Games track competition. His name is Levan Sanadidze, and he said he has admitted, quote, violating rules with regard to the controversy surrounding heats at track and field. And here is more of the quote from Levan Sanadidze. He said, quote, "Of course, it was a fairly impromptu decision." Sanadidze said through an interpreter, referring to the late changes in some of the events, quote, I'm continuing with the quote, "Since these are the Goodwill Games and they are being held in an atmosphere of goodwill and cooperation, we decided to violate some of the rules." He continued, "We decided to meet them halfway, the athletes, and extend the number of participants in some events. This is in accordance with rules and regulations of the Goodwill Games." Now, the Soviets have assured us that the confusion that has reigned the last couple of days will not occur in the events of this day. We'll watch and we'll see, and hopefully later we'll be talking directly to Levan Sanadidze, who is the chairman of the Soviet Department of Track and Field and the man who's running the track events at Lenin Stadium. So that story continues to develop, and our coverage of the Goodwill Games with water polo continues right after this. I want to just add one more thing as we talk about medal counts. Now that the patterns are beginning to emerge in the competition at the Goodwill Games, we'll be keeping more up to date with the medals because they become more meaningful, particularly in the race between the U.S. and the USSR. And as I said before, you must remember that all countries are not entered in all events with the exception of those two major superpowers. For instance, when the Ethiopian policeman won the marathon for Ethiopia, that medal was worth, what, 50 or 60 medals to the superpowers who are entered in all the competitions. A total of 175 gold medals will be awarded. So there's two ways to look at it, the U.S. versus USSR in medals, and then the countries who send only one or two also achieving a medal somewhere, and we'll keep you posted on all of that. Now, as Nick mentioned, water polo is going to begin today. Water polo should be very interesting, particularly from a United States point of view, because the silver medalist team from the '84 Olympics in the United States is here intact. They have been getting stronger, they have been getting more experience, and they are the favorites going into water polo. It's a fascinating, interesting event, one of the toughest and most enduring events in any of the Goodwill Games. Someone told me just a moment ago, one of the researchers from water polo, that the swimmers during a water polo match sometimes swim the equivalent of 4 miles during a match, and they're playing water polo also. So, matter of fact, we're going to, before we go to polo, we've been talking to Kurt Gowdy a couple of times on the air. I hope you've seen Kurt, who's appeared with us in our studio. Kurt has covered Olympics since 1964 in many international sports competition. He says he's having one of his most interesting times in the Moscow of 1986, and he's offering us commentaries and views. Before we get to water polo, we're going to join Kurt. Let's go to Kurt Gowdy now.
You know the old saying, it's a small world. Well, it's really true. I don't care where I've been all over the world. I either run into an American somewhere or someone I know. When I arrived here in Moscow the other night, I walked into the huge Cosmos Hotel, and suddenly a bunch of Americans rushed up to me, and they were all from the Boston area, and the first thing they wanted to know how the Red Sox were doing. I thought they were on a tour, and I asked them about it, and they said to me, no, they came to the Soviet Union to sing Americana.
Every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
On the mountain, my Lord's home, out of his mouth came fire and smoke. Looked all around me, it looked so fine, till I asked my Lord if all was mine.
Every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart, I will pray. Yes, every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart, I will pray.
The Jordan River is chilly and cold. It chills the body, but not the soul. There ain't but one train upon this track. It runs from heaven and right back. Every time I feel the spirit moving in my heart.
Sharing a New Song is not only the name of this group, but their philosophy as well. 45 people ranging in age from 12 to 70 with backgrounds and occupations just as diverse. They have traveled all around the Soviet Union, even to far-off Siberia. They were welcomed warmly in the smallest of villages and treated the same in the large cities. The project manager is Dave Clapp, a high school teacher from Sudbury, Lincoln, Massachusetts. and his goal is to bring a group of Soviet singers to America.
I felt it was very important to find some common activity that American and Soviet citizens can share together. Too often, Americans and Russians are always in confrontation over the negotiation table, even in sports. And Americans get the idea that Americans and Russians are always on the opposite side of things. So we use music, choral music, as a way of sharing an activity with Soviet citizens. And we've been singing with Soviet citizens formally and informally all over the Soviet Union.
Barbershop music, Americana, American spirituals, right in front of the walls of the Kremlin, continuing opening up of the cultures between the Soviet Union and the United States. Really a symbol of the Goodwill Games.
Just a reminder, this is a great day in track and field. Carl Lewis, Edwin Moses will be participating. Perhaps the classiest high jump field ever. We'll be covering it all for you. Right now, though, it's time for water polo, USA versus Holland. USA top ranked, Holland also a contender. Let's go now to the venue with John Neighbor and Chris Dorst.
Okay. Today marks the first day of 5 days of water polo competition here at the Goodwill Games in Moscow, Soviet Union. We've got 6 outstanding teams competing, including the United States and the Soviet Union. To tell us a little bit more about the strengths of these teams, our own Olympic analyst, Olympic silver medal winner in 1984, Chris Dorst. Chris, 6 teams. What about them?
Well, we've got a top 3 and a bottom 3 here, John. The top 3 are probably the top 5 teams in the world right now. The Soviet Union's playing in their own backyard. They're a tremendously disciplined, tremendously talented team. They've got to be the favorite for a gold medal. The United States right behind, a very close second, definitely medal contention. They've got 6 holdovers from the 1984 silver medal winning team. And the question mark there is youth, is incorporating the younger players into that team concept. That's a big question mark, but they've definitely got the talent to be in the top 2 or 3. The third team in the top that's definitely in medal contention would be the West German team. They play a very traditional European style of game, tremendous shooters from the outside, and they've got a lot of experience as well. So I would imagine those 3 teams will be battling it out for the gold.
Now, it is a round-robin tournament. Every team will play every other team at least once this game. The bottom 3.
Well, the bottom half of the bracket has got the Dutch, the team the United States is playing tonight. Again, very traditional European teams, good arms from the outside, but a lot of young players. That could be their downfall. The same thing can be said for Hungary. They have 2 players that I've ever seen before playing for them, and these weren't even frontline players in 1983 and 1984. A lot of new faces, but they're a traditional powerhouse. I think the referees will give them the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, the Greek team is here to fill out the 6-team lineup. They're tough. Again, they've got a lot of young players. They could surprise some people.
Well, just so that we don't get surprised by the American athletes, we're going to dissect the U.S. squad a little bit more and to talk a little bit about that. Goodwill Games ambassador and this team's water polo captain, Terry Schroeder. Terry, you've been on the Olympic squad. What do we have to look forward to out of this group?
I think there's some key words when we talk about the American team. First of all, our strengths are definitely talent. We have 6 returning Olympians, as Chris talked about earlier, and they're all very strong players. Also filling in the team is going to be Alan Muchwar, Jeff Campbell, Peter's younger brother, and talent is definitely up there. Now, the weaknesses of this team will be teamwork and consistency. If we can play consistently throughout the tournament, if we can play as a team, we're going to do very well.
Well, there's certainly a lot of exciting water polo action ahead. Starting off, the United States squad against the team from the Netherlands. Coming right up.
Let's go, Blue. Welcome to the Lennon Swimming Stadium, where we have the USA and the team from Holland ready to start off the first water polo competition here in these Goodwill Games. The American team is in blue. The team from Holland, or the Netherlands, is in white. The sprint-off begins, and let's go down the starting lineup. From the United States, Greg Wilson in the cage, Kevin Robertson, James Bergeson, Peter Campbell, Jeff Campbell, John Vargas, and Terry Schroeder will be playing out in the field. For the team from Holland, Ruud Misdorp in the cage, Mark van Belkom, Eric Noordegraaf, Ewood van Winsen, Stan Belkom, John Jensen, and Remco Pielsen will be playing in the first quarter. Starting off, substitutions are only allowed after a score or at the change period. Holland has the ball, won the sprint, and is beginning to play offense. Chris Dorst, you're standing alongside. We just had a stolen ball by the goalie, Craig Wilson.
Well, Wilson was able to anticipate. There was 5 seconds left on the shot clock, and he knew that the Dutch were going to have to try something desperate. He came out, stole the ball. Kevin Robertson with the ball on the right-hand side now.
The ball's into Jeff Campbell, and it was stolen away immediately.
That ball was thrown a little bit behind Jeff, but I think Jeff was expecting referee's call.
John Jansen, 22-year-old out of Veldhoven, the Netherlands, steals the ball. The ball goes to Stan Van Belkom, the 25-year-old. We're setting up in the hole. John Jansen with the ball. A foul is called. 3 consecutive fouls on the same player result in an ejection for 45 seconds or a score, whichever comes first. So needless to say, they'll be trying to draw fouls. There's the switch, a shot, and it's good.
Holy cow.
Outside shot by number 11, Remco Pilsen, the 21-year-old from the team Alphen. He's a student. He's played in 50 international games. So that's the first score in these Goodwill games. Holland leads 1-0.
Pilstrom is off their 1984 Olympic team. He's got a tremendous outside shot and showed it right there, slipping the ball in near corner low on Craig Wilson. You don't see Wilson letting in too many shots like that, John. See, there's a replay.
Was he out? Okay. Was he out of position there? Was that what happened?
He can't. He's got to worry about the people on the other side in the center of the pool, but he should have been over there, I think.
Okay, Alan Mouchouar is in for the USA now. And the ball's in the hole. Terry Schroeder trying to control that, finally draws a foul. Seemed a little late.
Yeah, well, he was working for the shot there, and the referee wanted to give him time to see if he could get the shot off. He turned his man. The man fouled him. He got a 4-meter penalty shot to be taken by Kevin Robertson.
Kevin, one of the better shooters on the USA team.
Kevin always bounced it to his right, to the goalie's left. Watch this. Invariably.
There you called it. Absolutely right. Pops it underneath the skip shot. The ball is traveling, what, about 35 miles an hour, and how do they get it to bounce off the water?
Actually, the Mikasa ball is fairly lively, John. It'll bounce off the water pretty much any time you throw it with enough force. Kevin doesn't have the strongest shot on the team, but I bet you he's putting the ball up about 35 miles an hour. Here's that shot again. He just puts it right on the water low.
So the score is tied 1 apiece. Holland takes over the ball at the half court. We begin passing back and forth. A near steal. Near steal by Jody Campbell, number 11, USA. Passes have to be accurate and fast. They have 35 seconds to take a shot on the cage. There's a shot clock in each corner. Now it's down to like 35 seconds now, 32.
Well, they just ejected Alan Mouchouar for 45 seconds for fouling during dead time. He was on the 2-meter man, and they were wrestling for position after the shot from outside. This 6-on-5 defense is a place where the U.S. has really got to improve. Lately, they haven't been playing well as a team.
A young, relatively inexperienced, but everybody claims a highly talented team for the United States. Now playing in the 5-on-6 handicap. Near steal by Robertson, comes back in, and Kevin Wilson blocks one ball out of bounds.
Craig had a nice stop that time. They were trying to bring their far player, number 2, Mark Van Belkom, out into the shooting range. Kevin Robertson played some real good defense, so the shot had to come from on top.
Chris Dorst, how many power plays, what percentage of power plays get converted to points?
But when we were playing a real good shooting percentage, we were trying to get 4 out of 5, 80%. The U.S. has been hovering around 50%, and they've been satisfied with that, but certainly not that happy.
Shot hits the post, goes wide. It's a blue ball. The officials from Italy and Turkey, both neutral officials, calling the ball to the American team. Kevin Robertson gets the long pass from the goalie. Now the American squad that's known for its rapid counterattack is having a little trouble setting up. A shot was taken and blocked by the Netherlands goalie, Ruud Misdorp.
That was Peter Campbell getting inside water there, and he's normally got a fairly good inside water shot, but I think after that 30-meter sprint down to the Dutch end, he was a little on the tired side.
So early in the first quarter, the score stands. The United States 1, Holland 1. We'll be back with more.
Well, Nick, Charles, we talked about Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson, the great match in the 100-meter, but Edwin Moses is here, too.
What a compelling story he is tonight, Bob. And the reason is he hadn't been beaten in nearly 9 years, but he's been hurt since '84 and has run just once. Can he possibly be had? And the mystique, he harbors a mystique. He's very reticent to talk about his training. We don't know just how fit he is. He's threatened to blow away the field every time he shows up. Can he do it again? And that's the intriguing question.
And don't forget, we'll continue our coverage of that great water polo match going on right now between the Netherlands and the USA. And our coverage of Goodwill Games 1986 continues after this.
Welcome back to the Soviet Union and our coverage of the Goodwill Games. The smooth and superb Edwin Moses is getting ready to compete. Moses is 30 and the master of the 400-meter hurdles. All he does is win. all the time. A space-eating stride with a near-flawless technique, Edwin Moses hasn't lost in nearly 9 years. Moses claims to have touched a basketball rim with his foot. He's hurdled 6.5 feet and is one of the most heavily endorsed amateur athletes in competition. There is a mystique surrounding the man, but he is also quite real, as you'll see in our Goodwill profile.
I've been running alone for so many years that most of the time I'm concentrating on what I'm doing, trying to concentrate on my breathing, and lots of times when you run you get small cramps in the foot or in the back, and you're really trying to find a position or find a rhythm that will keep that from bothering you, all while trying to maintain your breathing patterns and keep running. The sand is really good for the muscles, and it keeps me from having to run so many more miles that I would have to run if I wasn't on the beach. And also, it's good for the muscles, and I like it. Well, a lot of people are confused about the status of amateur sports and Olympic-type sports. They read a lot about amateur athletes making money, but no one is really sure. Athletes can make money running track meets, endorsing shoes, doing commercials, endorsing all types of products, and everything is legal these days. Most people don't really understand that we can do everything. However, we are still quote-unquote amateur athletes. What a trust fund is a bank account that the athlete can't withdraw money from without permission. And to get that permission, we have to go through the federation. And it's not really that big of a deal to get the authorization to take out funds for training, living expenses, to pay your taxes, and any other expenses that you incur while running track. So it's a good idea, and it allows us to be able to save money. And lots of athletes that I have talked to are now saving money versus just taking cash that was formerly under the table and spending it.
You can use this space here?
Well, I'm going to put the little bios there.
Well, Morella is an artist, and when I met her, she was a costume and set designer for films in Germany. And she's very creative. And she's been in a position where she's had to put her career on the back burner for the last 3 or 4 years. So now she's trying to develop her own niche and not just be a wife that's going to all the track meets. I don't think too much about even the last 109 races. My entire program is really based on going out at the next race and winning that race, and then when that race is over, then I'll think about the next race. And I think that's the only way that I can see someone building up a sequence of races like that, and that's just taking things one at a time.
Wow. And since our profile was shot, which was just a few weeks ago, Edwin competed in Finland, won again. He's now won 110 consecutive meets. Today, he'll be going for 111 in a row.
And he was speaking about money. There have been reports that Edwin Moses banked an income approaching $1 million last year. Not bad for an amateur. We'll see him soon.
And don't you forget, we'll be back to our coverage of water polo with the United States and the Netherlands, and Edwin Moses 400 meters intermediate hurdles coming up right after this. Welcome back to Moscow, ready to go to Lenin Stadium now for our coverage of these great track and field events today. Let's go to Charlie Neal, Dr. Leroy Walker, and Willie Galt at Lenin Stadium.
Okay, thank you very much, Bob. We're getting ready for the men's 400-meter hurdles. What you're about to see is coming to you live from Lenin Central Stadium. Now, let's explain the situation. There have already been one heat run in the 400-meter hurdles for men. That was of the weaker athletes. The stronger ones, such as Edwin Moses, Vasiliev of the Soviet Union, David Patrick of the United States, will be running in the second heat. And maybe you can clarify it a little better, Dr. Walker.
Well, Charlie, that heat was for the total Goodwill medal count situation. The time 48.92 should not really hold up with the quality of athletes they have in the second heat. With a Moses, who's capable of running in the 47s, and also Patrick Vasiliev, who has run outstanding race, 47.92. And, of course, you also have Young, the only person who I think runs 12 strides.
And there you're looking at the world record, which is held by Edwin Moses, 47.02. The American record also held by Edwin Moses. And again, 110 consecutive wins in the 400-meter hurdles. Moses' win streak began on August 26, 1977. He ran a 48.89 last week. And, well, what does that mean?
Well, it shows that Edwin has come back, and I think his problem here is going to be the competitive edge. He hasn't run a competitive race since the Olympic Games, other than one he just did in Finland. The great advantage he has is the three keys to this race is stride pattern, where you can hold your stride frequency, as well as your stride length, and to be able to clear the hurdle and get off of it well in order to be able to move well.
Okay, looking at the starting lanes, number 1, Diaba from Senegal. Lane number 2, Zemskov from the Soviet Union, 9th in the world last year. Lane number 3, Vasiliev of the Soviet Union, their strongest foreign competitor, 2nd at the World Cups last year. Edwin Moses, only his 2nd race since 1984. I mentioned earlier he did that 2 weeks ago in Finland. He's 30 years of age. David Patrick of the United States in lane number 5. He was 2nd at TAC, has run 800 meters in the past, attended the University of Tennessee and won the TAC championships in 82 and 84. Those were the years Moses was not in competition. Tomov of Bulgaria is in lane number 6. His personal best, 48.99. He did that in 1984, while Vikrov of the Soviet Union, his personal best in 85, 49.78, will be in lane number 7. Lane number 8, Kevin Young of the United States, from UCLA, 3rd at TAC, 19 years of age. And there you're looking at Edwin Moses, the world record holder. He set the world record on August 31st, 1983. That is 47.02. The Olympic record, 47.64. He set that on July 25th, 1976. So he's been at this a long time, and he's in lane number 3, the lane he likes to run in.
And he likes to run in that lane. He can run his pattern well. He's a 13 stride person all the way. I think it's interesting, Charlie, to look, however, at Kevin Young, who's going to be on the outside, who takes only 12 strides through the first 5 hurdles. Now, this is going to give him an advantage.
I said lane number 3. Let's correct that. Edwin's in lane number 4.
Well, it doesn't make very much difference with Edwin, 3 or 4 or 1 or 8. He's going to run exceptionally good time. The time that he's got to beat is 48.88, which is not a bad time.
That was the official time of the first heat, and that was run by a young man named Anthanasis Kalagianis of Greece. And here we are, the men's 400-meter hurdle, and we had the false start. Did not see who did start.
I think the false start was on Edwin, but I believe he's asking for an appeal that there was noise, which created the problem for him.
Willie Galt will also be joining us.
I think what happened, Charlie, is there are a bunch of cameras right at the start line. Everyone wants to get a picture of Edwin. So what has happened before the start, the cameras are anticipating and they're clicking. And most of the time when you hear that clicking sound, it's a gun going. So being an experienced runner like Edwin, he hears a clicking, he's going to go.
And you're right, Willie. He came out and immediately asked for the appeal on that click, which means there's no flags up.
Edwin is such a technician. He does everything by computer-wise. He's really ready for this race.
So the middle lane's the lanes to watch. Vasiliev of the Soviet Union is in lane number 3. Moses is in lane number 4. David Patrick in lane number 5. The other American, Kevin Young, is in lane number 8. The 400-meter hurdles for men. 437 yards, 1 foot, 4 inches in length. 10 hurdles, 36 inches high. And we're ready for the start of this race once again.
Charlie, the key to this is going to be how they get set up for this first hurdle, too.
And in lane number 1, Ibada of Senegal takes the early lead. But on the outside, you see in lane Edwin Moses, there's a time to beat 48.88. That's Vikrov of the Soviet Union, who is out in front right now. And as they come around the last stretch, Edwin Moses starting to make his move. Moses has won 110 straight races. Coming down the final stretch, the final 75 meters. With about 50 meters to go, it's Edwin Moses. 1 hurdle left, and Moses is being challenged by Vasiliev. But it'll be Edwin Moses winning his 111th straight 400-meter hurdle.
That was a great race for Edwin. He kept his stride pattern very beautifully. And the point was that he had control of his hurdles all the way, Charlie. Very smooth race.
He was in total control, unofficially 47.96. I think that's the fastest time in the world this year, or second fastest.
47.96 is unofficial.
Total control of the race. The thing about Edwin, people don't know, he majored in engineering. He has a degree in engineering. He's a pilot. He's on the TAC board, the Olympic Committee board, the IAAF board. I mean, he's a tremendous athlete and a tremendous guy, individual.
111th straight win for Edwin Moses. I mentioned that his winning streak began in August of 1977, and he has not lost since. And he just did number 111. Now we'll have to check and see what the official time is and how close that is to a record as far as this year is concerned. He holds the world's record, 47.02. In second place was Alexander Vasiliev, the strongest foreign competitor from the Soviet Union. David Patrick of the United States came in third.
Charlie, you just seen a man, a legend in his own time, Edwin Moses. He started in 1976 with a gold medal. He's been through 80, 84, and he's still running now at 30 years old. He's a tremendous individual and tremendous competitor.
I think the advantage that Edwin has is with his 13 strides, he not only runs strong at the very first part of the race, Charlie, but the thing that hurts hurdlers, and particularly in the intermediates, is the deceleration comes from the last 3 hurdles, from 8, 9, and 10. Edwin holds that well. He keeps the same stride pattern and stride length, and therefore it appears, even though he has deceleration, that he is always gaining on the opponents.
You know, very few individuals can master an event like Edwin has done. He's mastered this event over the last 5 or 6 years, and he's done things no other athlete has been able to do as far as with computers and with different techniques and mastering the 13 steps around the track, and other athletes are trying to copy it, but Edwin is the master of this event.
One thing we want to bring out is Edwin is not wearing a United States uniform.
That's
he
true.
is here, he did not qualify at TAC, but he is here at the invitation of the Soviet Union.
Well, this is true, and I think we should explain this clearly to all of our viewers, that in order to run here in the meet representing the USA, you had to be at the national championships of the Athletics Congress. But Edwin...
Can I just break in for a moment, Dr. Walker? That's the results of the first heat. Remember, I told you that Tatyana of Greece was the winner. 48.88 was the official time of the first heat. Go ahead, Dr. Walker.
Well, as I was saying, that you had to qualify at our national championships in order to represent the USA. But when the Soviet Union invited Edwin as president of the Athletics Congress, we had to instruct our office to issue him the permit to run. And therefore, he came in as an invited guest, the same as they invited Bulgaria, or Romania, Seychelles Islands, or anyone else.
You just saw Edwin Moses give a little low 5 to Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis will be running the 100 meters. There's Carl Lewis once again. A lot of people had thought, Dr. Walker, that maybe he was losing a step. He had stopped running for a while. He has only run one race since 1984 up till tonight.
Well, there are the official results you see there.
47.94 is the official time for Edwin Moses. Vasiliev of the Soviet Union second, 48.24. David Patrick of the United States is in third place. He gets a bronze, 48.59. And we'll be back with more after this.
We'll return with more Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage after this from our local stations.
Edwin, you looked nervous before the race. Tell me what your thoughts were.
Well, I knew that I just had to come in and win, and I expected to have a big race. It's only my second race of the year, so I'm really satisfied with the time.
It's only your second race since 1984. Did you ever doubt in all that time that you'd come back?
Well, I doubted a little bit, but I was sure from the training that I've had in the last 3 weeks that I would be able to turn out this kind of time, and I'm glad to do it.
Under 48 seconds in only your second race. Where do you go from here this season?
I'm going to go back and do some more training right now and get ready for the big races in August.
Well, Edwin Moses, not quite in shape for those victory laps yet, but good enough to beat the best field in the world this year. Congratulations.
Thanks a lot, Craig.
Way to go. Great job.
All right, thanks.
And looking back at the end of the race, the men's 400 meter, in which Edwin Moses wins his 111th straight race, and watch him turn it on coming around the final turn.
He's coming out. His technique right now is not the best I've seen Edwin Moses, but he's in total control of the race. Edwin wins most of his races on the mental attitude because he's just so much mentally better than the rest. He beats some of his field just by the fact he's Edwin Moses, and he's there. His technique is very good. He's maximizing the time he's taking, going over the hurdle, getting on the ground, and running, keeping that long stride, and no one can catch him down at the end.
And you see Vasiliev of the Soviet Union second. Patrick of the United States finished third. The time for Edwin Moses, 47:94. As we get ready for the men's 100 meter, let's go back to our broadcast center and our Goodwill Games host, Bob Neal. And what a race we've had out here so far tonight, Bob.
Edwin Moses reminding me of Lou Gehrig or Pete Rose and all their baseball stretches. It'd been a couple of years since he'd even competed, more than twice, his second time in 2 years, as you just heard in the interview. And Edwin Moses wins again his 111th. We're going to continue covering track and field right after this.
Go live at Lennon Central Stadium as we get ready for the men's 100-meter dash, and we'll be back to that exciting USA-Holland water polo match in just a moment. We again have the situation that we had in the 400-meter. There are 2 heats being run. In the men's 100-meter, the slower athletes ran in the first heat, and a young man named Shlapnikov of the Soviet Union won the first heat unofficially. Now, the men's 100-meter is coming up right now. Calvin Smith of the United States holds the world record. It was set back in 1983, a 9.93. Jim Hines, the Olympic record of 9.95. Carl Lewis set, I should not say set a record, but ran a 9.99 on the 1984 Olympic team to earn a gold medal, and Carl is in the lineup right now. Let's quickly go through the lanes for you and set up who's going to be in this exciting second heat of the men's 100 meters. Lee McRae from the United States in lane number 1. He's a sophomore at the University of Pittsburgh and the NCAA 100-meter champ. And in fact, he beat Ben Johnson, the only man to beat Ben Johnson indoors. Second attack behind Carl Lewis to qualify for the Goodwill Games. In lane number 2, Viktor Brizgin of the Soviet Union. He says he's after the European record. The European record held by a young man from Poland. It is 10 flat. Michael Marsh, rather, of the United States is in lane number 3. He was number 10 in the world last year. Ran a 10:12 and 85. Finished 5th attack with a 10:10 win 8 time. Lane number 4, Ben Johnson. 1984 bronze medalist at the Olympics. He's 24 years of age, from Canada, World Cup champ, 10 flat. Ranked 2nd in the world. He beat Carl Lewis at the Jenner track meet not long ago. Lane number 5, Harvey Glantz, 29 years of age, 3-time Olympian, ran a 10:09 into the wind at Dresden. Won a gold medal back in 1976. He's been around a long time. Of course, lane number 6, everybody knows about Carl Lewis, 25 years of age, won 4 gold medals at the 1984 Olympic Games. First person to do that since Jesse Owens. And in lane number 7, Chidi Imo of Nigeria. Relatively unknown, but he's still ranked 3rd in the world. And in lane number 8, Nikolai Yushmanov of the Soviet Union, 3rd in the East German meet. Recently 10:18, ran 10:16 last year. And what a field we have here.
Charlie, I'm telling you, I need a seatbelt to strap myself down. I'm ready to fly. I mean, if you can't get up to run in a race like this, I mean, you got 10 O's, 9 9s, 10 O's. All these, this is the best field of the year. This is the first and last time you'll see a field assembled like this. You got Carl Lewis, you got Ben Johnson, you got Harvey Glantz, who is at 29 years old is still running great, 10 O's. You got McRae, who is a great starter. The key to this race is if Carl Lewis can get within striking distance, 2 or 3 yards of Ben Johnson within the first 20 to 30 yards, it's going to be a Carl Lewis walk-away. But if not, if Ben Johnson gets away from Carl Lewis, we might see the same thing we saw earlier at the Bruce Jenner track class, in which Ben Johnson ran 10:00 to beat Carl. Carl ran 10:17. So my picks would be Carl Lewis first, because Carl is like a living legend also. Ben Johnson a close second, McRae 3rd, Harvey Glantz 4th, and Brizgin will be close with Harvey for fourth.
You saw Carl Lewis going over and congratulating or wishing good luck to the other American team members. Lee McRae is in lane number 1. We talked about the lanes to watch. They're right in the middle. Lanes 4, 5, and 6. Ben Johnson in lane number 4. Harvey Glantz in lane number 5. And I'll tell you, for his age and as long as he's been around, you talk about Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson, he's no slouch either.
What you have to watch for is Ben Johnson and Carl Lewis racing against each other, and McRae and Boskin can race their own race outside. Both of those guys are very capable of running a good race. 10:20 is the official time to beat, so they have to run better 10:20, which I don't think you should have any problem here.
You know, one of the things that everybody concentrates sometimes on the middle lanes, and we talk about Johnson being there, Glantz and Lewis. You know, there's a guy in lane number 1 named Lee McRae from the United States. While these guys in the middle of battling each other, he might be just sneaking past everybody.
Well, that's true, but I don't think Carl Lewis and Ben Johnson are too experienced running. I don't think they will let that happen. Carl will definitely know where everyone in the field. He knows everyone, and he will be able to see everyone in the field. No one will be a sneak in this race. They're going to have to run to win. I would love to be down there, Charlie, right now.
I know you would. Lane number 3 is Michael Morris. Lane number 4 is Ben Johnson. And we have a little premature movement.
What's happening, Charlie, is that all the runners don't understand the commandments, because McRae got down when the command was runners to your set. Of course, it's a different language than they're used to in the United States. So what they have to do in an international competition like this is watch the runner from the country, and he will tell you what to do at that time, because they will get down the blocks and they will get up. So McRae will learn something here, of course.
Well, do you think they're a bit tense?
Yes. Understatement of the year. I mean, the butterflies have to be flying around their stomachs and heads and everywhere else. I mean, it's a fantastic. I have butterflies sitting here, Charlie.
From Canada, Ben Johnson, lane number 4, he has on the blue top. Lane numbers 5 and 6, the Americans. Yeah. Harvey Glantz in lane number 5. Carl Lewis in lane number 6. Lane number 1, Lee McRae.
There you see the starter was telling them to move the hand back off the line. It's a line. They have to have the hand behind the line. Here they go. Oh, Ben Johnson jumped.
Ben Johnson, and you know, 2 false starts, you're disqualified.
That's right. See, I said earlier, Ben knows he has to get out. Ben does not have the leg power or the strength that Carl Lewis has. Carl is probably one of the greatest finishers of all time. Ben Johnson has to get out for him to win this race. If Carl's within 2 to 3 yards, he will catch him.
He may be a little timid right now after those...
he has to be.
Yeah.
If he gets another jump, he's out of the race totally.
So that could hurt him, the fact that he has had the false start, because he, instead of getting out quickly like he would normally have to do to beat a Carl Lewis, he may be hanging in there just a second too long.
That might be a possibility, but I don't think it's going to work. Ben's still going to get out. Ben is going to get out. He's experienced enough to just listen for that gun.
Well, we've added and subtracted and done all the multiplications that we could on this race. Now it's up to the athletes themselves.
Now it's time to run.
And they're off. Ben Johnson, Carl Lewis. Carl Lewis
Ben is way out.
And Ben Johnson really has, and look at McRae is in second. And it's Ben Johnson, and he's going to walk. And he may have been beaten by Imo from Nigeria. It looked like it was Ben Johnson first, Imo from Nigeria second, and Carl Lewis third. Unofficially.
Well, 10:00 unofficially. I believe that's under 10 seconds, Charlie.
10 flat is the unofficial time, but Carl had his problems getting out the block.
It's the same thing. It's the same exact thing that happened at the Bruce Jenner meet earlier that was broadcast here. Ben Johnson got out tremendously. He got out so far that Carl couldn't catch it. Carl came back at the end, but he just couldn't catch him because Ben was gone so far. He was out of his range. And I said earlier, Ben was so experienced that he had that first jump, but of course he could get back.
And I talked about the young man from Nigeria, Imo. Imo beat Carl right before the finish line, and we said that his kids are relatively unknown for his ranking that he had last year, third in the world. Well, he's letting himself be known right now, isn't he?
I mean, that was a fantastic run by Imo also. I mean, I'm not sure who won. I have to see the replay between second, he or Carl, but he was really leaning.
Let's look at it once again.
Here's the replay. Notice lane number 4, Ben Johnson's out. His 40 yards is as quick as anyone. McRae, you can tell in lane 1 is out with Ben Johnson because of that tremendous indoor 60 time. Carl is 3 meters behind now. He doesn't have enough room to catch up. If he was within 1 or 2 meters of Ben, he could catch him. But right now he can't. And he's losing the race now. And Emo on the outside is sneaking up because Carl is looking at Ben Johnson right now.
And I'll tell you, it's real close for third place between McRae and Lewis right now.
And Emo. Watch the lean at the tape. Of course, Ben has the race run now for sure. Emo is running. He's struggling to lean at the tape. Carl is trying to lean him.
It's going to be close.
I don't know. It's real close.
And as I said,
think Emo got it.
That was unofficial, but you saw Emo, the young man from Nigeria.
Right.
9:99 is the unofficial time. Emo in second place. That's unofficial.
Right.
Lewis in third. Again, that's unofficial. But the first place finisher, we know it was Ben Johnson.
Right, it was.
And we have Dr. Leroy Walker down on the field right now with Carl Lewis.
Carl, there seemed to have been a lot of tension at the starting line, almost as if they were the finals of the Olympic Games. How did it affect you in this race?
Well, it affected everybody a little bit. You know, when you have false starts, it makes it difficult to get off, but it affects everybody the same way, so everyone has to deal with it.
Well, when you and I talked the other day, you mentioned that passing up the long jump probably was going to put you in better position for this 100. How do you think the layoff might have affected you in the amount of workouts you've had?
Well, I think it was good for me. It's a long trip for me, and I felt a little sluggish today, but, you know, the main thing now is to get back and let's do well in that relay and keep going from here in the 100.
Well, in terms of the 4x4 and the 4x1, you've got McRae, Hurd, Harvey, and yourself. What possibilities do you think there exists for a good time if you get a good handoff?
Well, I think if we have good handoffs, this is an excellent place to run. They have big sweeping turns, and the guys are real excited about running. So, you know, I think we can run under 38 if we get things together on the handoffs.
Okay, Carl, best of luck. Get ready for it.
Thank you.
So it's Ben Johnson of Canada winning the men's 100-meter. You see him coming to the wire right now. Unofficial second place, Emo of Nigeria. Carl Lewis, who you just heard talking to Dr. Leroy Walker, finished third. And we'll be back with the official time as we see Ben Johnson winning the men's 100 meters at the Goodwill Games. And we'll be back with more in just a moment.
Great day in track and field. Hope you saw earlier Edwin Moses winning the men's 400-meter hurdles. And now Carl Lewis upset, well, maybe not an upset, losing the 100-meter to Ben Johnson the last 2 times out in head-to-head competition, the Bruce Jenner Classic. And now here, Carl Lewis has lost to Ben Johnson of Canada. He wins the 100-meter in 9. Now they're saying the official time is 9.95. So the official results are in now. It is Johnson 9.95, Emo of Nigeria 10.04, and for Carl Lewis a slow time 10.06, and that's an incredible finish. Johnson, Emo, and Lewis. Now Carl Lewis came here, decided to skip the long jump so he could prepare. He told me personally in this studio that he was as pumped and as ready and as good a condition for this race as he had been since the '84 Olympic qualifying. So he must be surprised, he must be shocked. Carl Lewis has been accused of doing too many things. He's an interesting person. He has many interests, and some people say maybe he can't run as fast against this competition all the time by being involved in a lot of activities in his life. We're going to take a look at our Goodwill profile of Carl Lewis right now.
Well, since the Olympics, life has changed quite a bit. And first of all, 1985, I moved into a new home and also acquired a new mentor, protector, I guess, a new Rottweiler dog. And those go together in a way because I'm a very private person. When the dollar was high, we purchased from Kremer a Porsche Cabriolet at $935, and it is just like the most fun I've ever had in life because I love speed. And this thing is the epitome of speed. Boy, the Porsche and Carl Lewis or myself are very similar. Aggressive, take chances, and don't look back. I've had an album and a second single out now, so I'm excited about that. Just that I've always wanted to do something in entertainment, and it just found its way to me. So I started taking voice lessons, and then as time went on, I enjoyed singing very much.
At first, when Carl began singing and pursuing that career, I really felt that it was going to take away from his track and field because of just the time element and the concentration. and for a while it did. But once he finished that and decided, okay, now it's time for track and field, then he has totally committed himself now, and he's back on track.
By the looks of you, there's plenty on your mind. When you've been crying, I can always tell. Could it be that someone I heard about took you in, tossed you out? I've been there, I know how it feels. Kind of like a yo-yo on a string. Down there at the bottom, you're out of luck. But what goes down must come up. Trust me, believe me, that's what love will do.
And the fun thing about singing, I found out, is you have many chances. So you go out and you try to do that ultimate performance first. And that's just like a long jump. I want to jump 50 feet on my first jump. Well, the first time I sing a song, I want to have that ultimate performance. And then after that, if there are mistakes, you correct them as time goes on. And that's just like the long jump.
Well, maybe if Carl Lewis doesn't get a gold medal, that can be a hit, and he can have a gold record.
Well, I don't know. The jury's still out on that one, Bob. But I'll tell you something. Carl Lewis losing 2 in a row, it's not exactly the demise of him as the world's fastest human. But Ben Johnson running the fastest non-altitude 100-meter ever is something to talk about. And he's beaten Lewis twice now in 6 weeks, which proves to me, at least, Bob, that Lewis, as great as he is, just simply can't turn it on and off like a faucet at will and bully everybody into submission.
Reminds me a little bit of the old Wild West and gunfighters. There's a new one coming into town every day.
Well,
and
you know,
Ben Johnson's taken up residence.
That's right. It definitely knocks Carl down a peg. He's got a lot to, he's got plenty of time to get back and be on top and be best in the world. But right now, Ben Johnson has put a crimp in those plans.
And that's not to exclude Imo of Nigeria, ranked 3rd in the world going into this and finishing 2nd in this race. Imo also a force to contend with. Harvey Glass, Lee McRae, they're all in there. It's going to be interesting to watch track and field develop even past this game and see how Carl Lewis comes back. Now, 2 consecutive losses in the men's 100-meter. We are continuing our coverage of men's water polo. We'll be covering that throughout the afternoon. They are the team favored to win in that venue, and we'll continue with our coverage of the Goodwill Games. Stay with us, please.
We'll return with
fantastic day of track and fields here at the Goodwill Games. Edwin Moses won the intermediate high hurdles with a time of 47.96. Alexander Vasiliev of the Soviet Union was 2nd. David Patrick of the USA was 3rd. And the 100-meter men finished just moments ago. It was Ben Johnson of Canada, 9.99. Chidi Imo of Nigeria was 2nd. Carl Lewis was 3rd in the 100-meter. The president of the International Olympic Committee, Juan Antonio Samaran, is in Moscow to view the Goodwill Games. He got in just yesterday, just in time to go from the airport to the track and field site, where he saw the man in the middle, Sergey Bubka, break his own world record of 19.8 3/4 inches. Radion Gatuulin of the USSR was 2nd, and Earl Bell of the United States was 3rd. Gatuulin, many people here in Russia say, may be the next Sergey Bubka, and Earl Bell, representing the United States, finished 3rd, 18.10.5, and the medal was presented by the president of the IOC, Juan Antonio Samaran. Following the ceremonies, the flag of the USSR raised, the Soviet Union national anthem was played. We do not have audio on this presentation, but there we go. The Soviet Union finishing 1st and 2nd. Radion Gatuulin was 2nd. Earl Bell 3rd. And Sergey Bubka breaking his own world record, a vault of 19.8 3/4. We'll be right back to meet in our studios Sergey Bubka, who will join Nick Charles. Stay with us. Sergey Bubka has become anything but an obscure Soviet athlete. He competed in the indoor season in the United States and was breaking the world record with Billy Olson, Joe Dial, the controversies and good-humored kidding that happened. And following his breaking of the record at the Goodwill Games here yesterday, someone from our TBS Sports coverage staff said to him, "Now you're going to be the second best-known person in the United States." And Bubka said, "Second best-known person in the United States?" He's an interesting man, and he was in our studios earlier to talk to Nick Charles.
You're looking at the man who last night soared into the rarefied air of Moscow. Sergey Bubka shattered his own world record in the pole vault. Sergey, congratulations on your world record performance, but take us back to last night. When you came into the stadium, did you know you had a world record performance in you?
Well, of course I was ready to set a new world record since I was in very good shape. All that remained for me was to psych myself up for the event and set the record. As you see, that indeed happened, and I was very happy and pleased.
Describe the record vault. At what point did you know you were going to break the record? If you had to take us through that vault again.
First of all, I did feel like I could do it before I was about to jump. And then in the air, when I was over the bar, I knew that I had made the height and had set the record before I would come back down. While I was in the air, I felt overjoyed at what was just completed.
Did the Soviet home crowd lift you in any way last night?
Certainly it helps when the people in the stadium are cheering and supporting you. They want you to do well, so I try to make good on their hopes. In the same way, since there was a warm, friendly atmosphere, it helped me to set the record.
Sergey, you seem to clear the bar with room to spare. So when are you going to take us out of any suspense and clear the 20-foot barrier?
20 feet? Well, actually, I've not set such a high goal for myself this season. But I think that perhaps in next year or in 2 years, that height will fall.
Sergey, you vaulted higher than anybody in recorded history. Can you assess your special ability? What separates you from the rest?
Well, surely my physical attributes. Also, my highly controlled system of training gives me the opportunity to consistently attain good results and set world records.
Break it down. You have strength you actually hold the pole higher, so you, in essence, have a shorter leap, because that comes from strength. Also speed. Is it speed and strength as well as technique?
Of course, I do have a high grip and good speed, as well as being physically well developed. Therefore, I am able to do well in the pole vault by combining all of these qualities.
Beyond the physical, how much of vaulting is mental and emotional?
I think that pure physical attributes alone will not get you good results without psychological preparation. Really, when you come right down to it, it's the mental and emotional components that make the difference. If a person cannot be in control of his nerves and specifically handle the stress of the competition, then he won't be able to perform to his highest capabilities, let alone win meets. Therefore, it is necessary for one to be in control of himself physically and mentally by releasing his energies appropriately throughout the competition.
Sergey, you're an international star. How much of an intimidating effect do you think you have on the other vaulters? We have a word for it. It's called Bubkanoia. We've made it up. Are people afraid of you? Do you impose? You're imposing.
Well, I think it's not easy for them when I walk out onto the field. They are probably a little intimidated since they don't know what to expect from me on any given day. It could be a new record or something like that. Therefore, naturally, I do not envy them and would not want to be in their shoes.
Many people are born gifted athletically with the potential to be great. When did you know you really had what it took to be great, to be world class?
Well, in principle, when any person is born, certain natural abilities are passed on to him. Then, later when he starts to take up sports, it's up to the coach and the athlete to develop these qualities to the highest level and in such a way that he would be able to achieve good results. In this way, I feel that I did receive and do maintain the good attributes that I was born with, and I was able to develop them to a high level through my training. I have a very good coach who I think has an extensive knowledge of pole vaulting, both how to train and how to grow in this sport. Therefore, I am able to do very well and set records.
Sergey, last night was your special night. Today is a special day for somebody very close to you.
Well, as you know, today is my son's birthday. Just as I did a year ago for my mother's birthday by setting the world record of 6 meters, I wanted to do the same yesterday and give my son a little present. Naturally, I am very glad that I was able to do that by setting the world record yesterday in Moscow.
Well, you certainly were. And Sergey Bubka, our congratulations to you, a world-class competitor and a world-class star. Thank you for being with us.
Спасибо. Thank you.
Now, the president of the International Olympic Committee, you see, giving the gold medal in the pole vault following the world-breaking record attempt to Sergey Bubka, already an athlete in a class by himself. Others here, like Salnikov, Joyner, Bubka, athletes who are beyond the competition of the other competitors and are simply pushing the limit of their sport. Now let's go back to Lenin Stadium, Charlie Neal, and the 10,000 meter.
Thank you very much, Bob Neal. I'm also joined by Bill Rogers and Craig Masback for this men's 10,000 meters. It's a race that will encompass 6 miles, 376 yards, 4 inches. In other words, they're going to go around this track 5 times. This is live. You're seeing the pictures right now at Lenin Central Stadium, and a good crowd on hand for this final day of the track and field competition.
It is a good crowd, Charlie. It looks upwards of 40, 50,000 people. You know, we were a little disappointed with the crowds those other days. I guess it was Yogi Berra who said if the people don't want to come to the ballpark, nobody's going to stop them. But they knew we had good competition the other days, but this is the night. We've got big races all the way through, big field events, and that's what they've come to see. 10,000 is one of those events, I think, Bill.
You're looking, first of all, at the world record held by Fernando Mamadi of Portugal, the Olympic record, Lasse Viren of Finland. Alberto Salazar holds the American record, 27:25:61. And Bill Rogers, how about the stamina for a 10K race?
Well, almost all these runners are doing, they do a variety of training. First, they develop a base of strength by doing a lot of mileage, maybe 100, 120 miles a week, some of them. And they also then will add on different types of training, such as interval or speed work on a track, sprints, and they'll do what's called fartlek or speed play, where they go out and they change their gears, just like a race car driver shifts gears. Well, you've got to have that ability even in this long-distance race.
One thing I find interesting, Bill, is there seem to be a lot of marathoners in this race. In this race tonight, did you use a lot of 10,000-meter races for your marathon preparations?
You're exactly right on that, Craig. I tried to race the 10K a lot, and I still do, to try to get ready for the marathon. And I noticed the Japanese record holder, Takayuki Nakayama, is in this race, and he's a solid 10K guy, too, but I don't think this isn't his specialty. You're right. He's not going to be there at the very finish of this race, that's for sure.
You saw the starting competitors and the Americans. The two of them, Danikowski is one, Marcus Nenau. Danikowski won TAC, first major win for him. And Nenau finished second at TAC. He's 28 years of age. Do they have a chance in this one?
Well, I think the real question about whether they have a chance is going to be in their own minds, because last Saturday night, they both ran personal records in the Oslo 10,000 meters. Nenau ran 27:28, the second fastest ever by an American, second fastest in the world this year. And Danikowski broke the 28-minute barrier. That's an important psychological barrier in the 10,000 meters. So they come to the line and they have two choices. They can say to themselves, hey, I'm now one of the best runners in the world and I'm going to dominate this race. Or, hey, I'm tired, I only ran 4 or 5 nights ago. It's a real question, and we'll see as the race develops.
How about some of the other people in the race? We talk about a couple Japanese runners that are in the race who have done very well.
Well, the Japanese, as Bill mentioned, are very, very strong. Nakayama, who is their national record holder in the marathon, he's run 2:08:15, and he was second at the World Cup marathon. And they also have Yoneshigi, who beat the USA and the USSR in that triangular meet last fall. So he's a decent 10,000-meter runner.
They're decent 10K guys, but they're not. That's not Takayama's specialty. Nakayama's specialty. He's really a marathoner, and he's probably in this for preparation for a fall marathon or something.
Let me ask you this, both of you. What has happened to our American distance runners when it comes to races such as this?
Well, Charlie, I just wanted to say, you know, that one thing, last year, the #1 ranked 10,000-meter man in the world was an American. That was Bruce Bickford. That's the first time in about 20 years since Billy Mills took the gold medal in the '64 Tokyo Olympics that an American has been top in the list. Frank Shorter was among the top 10 in the world, but it's been quite a while, and I think there's kind of a resurgence developing. Since the 1984 Olympics, we didn't do that well in the distance events, but I believe the tide has turned. I think we learned a lesson not to over-race, and I think the Americans are going to do well tonight.
Well, you know what's the most ironic thing? Not one member in the field of 25 here were in the 1984 Olympics.
Well, one aspect of that phenomenon, Charlie, as we see Jorge Aguilar of Costa Rica in the lead right now, is the fact that road racing has become so popular worldwide that the athletes have too many chances to race. They have not only track and field, they have cross country, they have marathon races, and they have very lucrative series of running that they can do on the roads, 10Ks, 5Ks, the kind of races that people have in their hometown all over America.
Big races tend to be tactical. Talk a little bit about maybe the tactics we'll see in this one.
The most successful runners in the world are not necessarily the man with the best sprint. It's actually the man that uses his mind with his level of fitness the best. And perhaps the classic example is that, I've used it earlier in the telecast, is Lassie Viren, who would always start his 10,000 meters way at the back of the pack, the way Mark Nenow is running now, or the way Henry Marsh runs. And then he'd move up slowly. And about every mile, he'd move up about another 2 or 3 people. And with about 800 meters or a mile to go, he would be in striking position.
August Dabulskis of the Soviet Union is out in front right now.
You could see, though, that Jerry Donikowski he's now running in 5th place. He's got the all red on of the USA team, and that's a good position for him. He's going to feel comfortable there.
Well, with their 25 laps in this race of 10,000 meters, and they're coming up with about 22 left, and we'll be back with more of the men's 10,000 meters from Lennon Stadium in just a moment.
We'll return with more Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage after this from our local stations.
Water polo with the USA and Holland in just a moment. Reminder about this USA men's water polo team. They are top ranked coming into the Goodwill Games tournament. Many of these players have been together since before the 1980 Olympics. So they suffered through the 80 frustrations of boycott, the 84 frustrations of boycott, and they are pumped to get into action. They're just starting today. They're leading 7-5, and we'll be going back to join the water polo coverage in just a moment, right after this.
We'll return with more Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage after this from our local stations.
Underway, the 4th and final period in this water polo contest between the United States and the team from Holland. The score at the end of the first half was 5-4, but the United States made great inroads here in the 3rd quarter with 2 power play scores and a remarkable backhand by Jeff Campbell. We are here at the Lennon Aquatic Stadium, just right near the track and field competition here at the Goodwill Games. It's an outdoor facility, and the clouds are gathering for what might be a little bit of inclement weather. John Neighbor here with Chris Dorst, calling the last 7 minutes of this tournament. Once again, Mark Van Belkom from Holland now will be sprinting against Kevin Robertson in the blue caps for the United States.
That's interesting. Kevin doesn't often sprint for the U.S., but he is one of the faster players, and I'd bet a little money he wins this sprint, although it looks pretty tight. No, he lost it.
They got to the ball just about the same time, but the longer reach of Mark Van Belkom, he's a newcomer on the Holland team, got to it and tossed the ball backwards to his teammate. Kevin Robertson known for his speed during the game, not so much before each period for the sprint, but doing a lot of counterattack movement.
Go now, go now.
The tremendous passing sequence there. Jody Campbell, guarding at 2 meters, was involved right in the middle of a switch, and he made a nice move to force that ball out of the hands of the Dutch and back to goalie Craig Wilson.
Kevin Robertson with the ball far side, passing it now to James Bergeson. Call him Bergie. A lot of nicknames because you want to get their attention in a hurry. Jody Campbell setting hole. Coming back, that's 2 fouls. looking for the possible third, and the switch is made so that the Holland team doesn't have to deal with the third foul. 3 fouls consecutively resulted in ejection with 8 seconds on the shot clock. Alan Mukhtar tried to take a backhand shot. No good. You're looking at Ruud Misdorp, the goalie for the Holland team. He's 34 years old and has played in some 200 international games. Man's all alone far side. Arnold Nonekis passes over number. We have a holding call on the offense, so the ball exchanges now.
Absolutely. The reason why that man was so free was that one of his own players was grabbing his defensive player to keep him away from him. That happens quite a bit, but I'm glad the referees picked it up.
Terry Schroeder passing it in now. Jody Campbell with the ball, pumps, drops it low and in. Jody Campbell, his first score of this game.
That was a 4-on-3 counterattack, and Jody followed it all the way through. Nice pass from Terry Schroeder to give Jody the opportunity to get the ball, to get between his man and the ball, and Jody just gets that right arm free and skips it near side. I'm surprised the Misdorp didn't take away that entire near side, because it's very, very difficult for a shooter to come back cross cage with a shot when he's in that position that Jody was. But Jody's a tremendous shooter.
So the shot's good. The teams make some substitutions. You can only substitute at the end of each period or whenever a goal is scored. The score now stands USA 9, the Dutch team from Holland 5.
Salo, no foul. Fergie, no foul. Okay, but one at a time.
U.S. playing great defense, allowing that shot clock to move down. That went down to 14 seconds. 21 seconds went by without a foul. That's tremendous defense.
We have an ejection, it appears, so there's a man-up play. We spoke earlier about how the referees can control a game. Is this an example of that?
Actually, Terry, I think, might have been hanging on to the guy a little bit too long, but the referees, toward the end of this game, are going to try to give the Dutch a chance to get back into it. They just like seeing teams play an even game. They're not trying to cheat, or they're not trying to be unfair.
Yeah. Just the referees, as well as the crowds, like a very close game. Passing back and forth, shot hits the crossbar, goes wide back into play.
Absolutely. Well, you could tell that number 7, Van Belkom, number 2, Mark Van Belkom, stand as number 7, and number 11, Pielstrom, want to take the shot for the Dutch.
Shot bounces low. A quick recovery by the Holland player is not effective. Goes back to James Bergeson.
That was quickness on Wilson's part. The ball was right in front of the goal, and it looked like the Dutch player number 12, that was Mark van Groen, was just about to flick it into the goal, but Craig got there first and knocked it away.
Kevin Robertson with the ball. He's a 27-year-old left-handed shooter. Good outside threat as well as a fast driver. Peter Campbell. Now back in the hole. Shot was attempted, no good. No foul called.
Again, that's Jeff Campbell at 2 meters. He spent a little time there as well as at 2 meters defending at the other end. I'm sure he's getting a little winded.
Jeff and Peter Campbell, of course, both related, both from Irvine, California.
But not related to Jody Campbell.
That's correct. A man we've not heard much from in this game.
Jody's actually played some pretty important roles on defense, but he'll get his goals later on this tournament.
8 seconds on the shot clock. Shot blocked by Wilson.
And you could bet Pielstrom wanted to shoot that one. That was number 11. Wilson was all over it. It didn't look like the shot was in the corner at all.
Peter Campbell all alone on the wide side, hoping for a blue cap in the middle. USA in blue, of course. Peter Campbell playing man-to-man. Eric Noordegraaf. Doug Burke passing it out. Getting a little cluttered. Drew the foul. Terry Schroeder got the foul before the ball was tipped away. Tips it out back again to Terry Schroeder. There's the second foul, hoping for a third shot. No good. Schroeder picks it up in front of the cage, puts it in.
That was a tremendous series.
That's the third goal for Terry Schroeder, the team captain.
James Bergeson loves taking those shots from that side with a quick release he's got. Schroeder with a backhand pass. He gets knocked down by Misdorp, but Schroeder just happens to be right there. He gives him the near side move and then brings it back to where Misdorp was and puts it away. That's his third goal, Terry Schroeder's.
So the score stands at 10-5. 2 3/4 minutes remaining in this game. Team from Holland, what can a coach tell a team that's down 10-5?
Well, you can bet they're going to be putting the ball up as much as they can. I imagine you're going to see it coming from Pilstrom, number 11, and from Van Belkom, number 7. They've got to get back into this, and they don't have a whole lot of time left.
USA playing tight defense. In the field, only one hand is allowed to touch the ball. 9 seconds on the shot clock. Underwater. Ball held underwater by number 7. Stan Van Belkom, the 25-year-old from Leiden. He was on the 84 Olympic team, but made a tactical error, forcing a turnover. Doug Burke alone with the ball.
Actually, that was great defense by Terry Schroeder, who just, Van Belkom had his hand on the ball, and Schroeder just pushed his hand as well as the ball underwater.
Technical foul on that call. 16 seconds remaining for the American shot clock. Goalie's coming out. Nice outside pass. Stolen away by Stan Van Belkom, the man who cost the team the ball on the other series.
That's right. That pass went out to Peter Campbell, and he just started his drive when Jody got the pass out to him, so he was a little off balance.
Timing and execution are all important in this game, Chris.
Something like that.
21 seconds on the shot clock. A minute and 30.
The U.S. has fallen off that number 12 because he's a young guy. This is his first major international competition. He's probably got a great arm, but he doesn't want to shoot the ball.
Shot taken, blocked away, recovered by Schroeder.
That's another shot you probably wouldn't have seen earlier in the game, but the Nordegraf, the captain, has got to get his team back into things. He wanted to put it up.
Oh, with a minute and 11 seconds remaining, it hardly looks like it's going to be a contest now, but all goals are important towards the possible end results in this tournament.
Absolutely.
2 points for a win. Shot wide and good by Peter Campbell. Peter Campbell all alone fakes the goalie and puts it in on the right side of the cage. That's his second goal of the tournament.
That was a tremendous counterattack goal because when Alan Mouchouar and Peter Campbell were on the same side of the pool, Mouchouar just cut across in front of the goal, as you see here, bringing his defense along with him. Peter got inside water, was able to fake near side and come back around with it, and any goalie's going to take that fake to the near post. Misdorp jumped that way, and Peter got the chance to put it across cage.
So America leads 11-5, 58 seconds remaining in this game.
Peter's got tremendous hands. Not too many people can make a shot like that, but
American squad setting up on defense. America in blue. We're here at the Lennon Olympic Swim Stadium. Shot by Pihlstrom. Taken. No good. Craig Wilson was there.
Looks like Pihlstrom gave Peter Campbell a nice kick to get that free, and in his haste to get the ball off, he didn't have as much on that shot as he might have wanted.
Ball can travel up to 35 miles an hour in a game like this.
Actually, the U.S. is just trying to kill some time right now. There's, less than 20 seconds left in the game. They don't want to get a goal in the other direction.
So this relatively inexperienced, or certainly, oh, here he is, all in front of the cage. Jeff Campbell, lob shot, and good. Covered on all sides, and the goalie, Ruud Misdorp, a little bit disappointed with his defense on this team. The score now stands 12-5.
Well, Jeff just wanted to catch up to his brother, it looked like. They both have 2 goals now, but Jeff's a big, strong kid, and he just brought that ball from a bad angle right here. He brings it across in front of his body, so now he's got the entire Casey shootout. He put it across cage, and those last 2 goals may mean the difference between a gold medal and a silver medal for the U.S.
A win counts 2 points. That's the end of this game with 1 second remaining. So the final score in this contest between the United States and the team from Holland, the USA 12, the team from Holland 5. 3 goals were scored by Terry Schroeder, another 2 by Kevin Robertson, Peter Campbell, and Jeff Campbell. Holland had 3 goals scored by Pihlstrom, but not quite good enough. So that's it for now from this competition here. The United States wins it, their first championship contest here at the Goodwill Games. The score, USA 12, Holland 5.
So Terry Schroeder with 3 goals, and the Campbell brothers, remember their names. They're going to get to be famous during our coverage of the Goodwill Games water polo. Peter and Jeff Campbell each had 2 goals there. Nick Charles, I've been enjoying the water polo. It's one of my favorite sports. You don't get to see enough of it on TV, in my opinion. But I love some of the terms. They're a lot like basketball terms. Drive, pick, moving pick, etc. Well, but my favorite one is the wet pass.
Oh, yeah, that's the spitball term, right?
Isn't that from baseball? I think that's probably close. Tell me your opinion about something. Many of us are saying U.S. top-ranked team in water polo. A lot of other people say the Soviet Union's top-ranked team. West Germany's pretty strong. What do you think about the debate?
Again, the mystique with the Soviet Union, as we were talking about. They haven't played in a world-level competition in a little while, but I think they're deep, and I think they're match tough. That's the thing we overlook. I think their caliber of competition. The Soviets play a better caliber year-round of competition. The United States and Terry Schroeder, as we saw, he is a dominant presence in the pool. And they're an excellent team, could be the best. I sound like I'm hedging my bets, but I say don't undervalue the Soviets at all, because I think there's a lot lurking there.
I just might mention one other thing, and that is that the West Germans beat the United States in the 1985 FINA Cup, which is the International Federation of Natation Swimming, the international governing body. So the West Germans are tough, too. We have a lot of track and field coming up. We hope you'll stay with us, and we'll be right back.
Craig Masback and Bill Rogers. We're live at Lennon Central Stadium. You're watching the final laps of the men's 10,000-meter run. The world record held by Fernando Mamede of Portugal, 27:13.81. And how are we doing as far as pace is concerned right now, Craig Masback?
Well, it's the kind of pace that we expected, the kind of pace that we see in a major championship-type race. It's a tactical race. They've played with the pace, though, Charlie, which is interesting. And it's been, quite surprisingly, the Japanese and the Portuguese who've done that playing with the pace. Usually it's the Ethiopians and the Kenyans who play around with pace in a race of this type. But why runners do that is because they don't feel they have a good finish. They've got to play with the pace, just like a boxer works the body. They work the mental strength of the other runners. They say, well, I don't have a good finishing kick, so I'm going to pick the pace up, slow it down, pick it up, make the other guys doubt themselves. Like a boxer working the body, they then go for the knockout late in the race. But you can see it's the Castro brothers of Portugal who are right up there with the green shorts, two of them. Two red, all in red, are the two Americans, Donikowski and Nienau. And Werner Schildauer of East Germany. He's right up there as well. He's a great kicker. We talk about a kick. He's the one with the great finishing speed in this group.
He has the blue top on, and the Japanese young man, Nakayama, is the young man who's in third place right now. And if you're watching, as you look, you may see them catching up to a young man in front of them. Well, they're lapping him, so we're not worried about him. The 3 and 4 front runners are the Portugal. You have the United States. Nienau just passing Donikowski right now. Donikowski also running in third, and the Japanese Nakayama is in 4th place.
See them talking to each other, Charlie? Yeah. I'm sure Bill would have a comment on that as well. You know what they're talking about? This guy in the front, number 247 of Brazil, 347, Domingos, Castro says, hey, I don't want to lead anymore, Mark Nienau. You go out in front.
You know what I think? He also looks very tired. I think, to me, the two Americans are in great position. We know they're fit. They're just running among the fastest times in the world this year. And the only guy in there that we know has a great kick is Schildauer. And last year he was beaten by Pat Porter, an American, and Bolte at the World Cup. So though he's run faster than anyone in the field, whether he can do it again today is a big question.
Marcus Nienau of the United States is in the leader in the men's 10,000 meter. He's 28 years of age, and you can see them talking to each other.
He's saying, please.
You take the lead. Yeah, go right ahead, sir.
A lot of politesse, as the French say, in the world of distance running.
And all of a sudden, it's turned into a sprint race on the backstretch.
They're starting to open it up, and Nakayama, the Japanese marathoner, is going with them. And I have to take my earlier statement back about him specializing in marathoning. We thought that Seiko, for example, of Japan was that way too, but I know that he has run 27 minutes, 51 seconds per 10,000, has a great kick. So maybe his teammate here, Nakayama, will also produce the same kind of a result today.
Well, it's great to see Mark Nienau out in the front. A lot of times American athletes in the past haven't taken the initiative in these kinds of races. They've sort of waited and sort of let things happen. But Mark Nienau's putting his
Donikowski. And there's 2 Castros in this race. One is the Dionisio Castro from Portugal. The other one, Domingos Castro from Portugal. Domingos is the one that's in 2nd place right now. Bill Rogers.
You know what I see, Charlie, of course, here is that Schildauer is dropping off. And I see a gap opening, and I think Nienau is applying the pressure to drop this man. It's opening up. It's now a 5-man race. It's between the 2 Portuguese and the 2 Americans. Yeah, the Japanese runner, Nakayama, is also falling back a couple of yards. So he's applying the pressure. Ninow can move at the end, but he's really, what his greatest strength is his tenacity, his ability to keep forcing the pace, or to hang on to someone who's with him. But if it comes to the last 300 yards, then I think Mark might be vulnerable. But tonight, he has a good chance to win.
You got to remember, Ninow just ran the second fastest time in the world this year, just recently at Oslo.
So you see,
the United States in the all red, Portugal with the green shorts and top, white top.
You know, the Portuguese have a great tradition now in 10,000 meter racing where the first and second fastest times ever, Fernando Mamed and Carlos Lopes, who at the age of 37 ran the second fastest time ever, 27 minutes, 17 seconds. And perhaps these two Portuguese runners are trying to emulate their countrymen.
Of course, Lopes is also the world record holder in the marathon. That's how probably most Americans know him best. And Ninow, of course, is using tactics he's used very successfully in road racing. He's one of the top road racers in the United States and the world. And there we see a lot of the type of surging that we talked about earlier. But now, Bill, I think it's time to talk about the kick. And the kick is something that's very strange in track and field. It's that ability, what Roger Bannister says, that ability to get more out of yourself than you really have there. That ability to relax and let the speed come out like a sprinter, because we're coming up to just one lap to go.
And Domingos Castro of Portugal is out in front. Danikowski of the United States is in second place. And Castro of Portugal in third, the top four spots, Portugal and the United States. Ninow is in fourth place from the United States. Danikowski trying to take over the lead from Domingos Castro.
Here's the bell lap. The two Portuguese, the two Americans. It's between them, and who's going to take it? These two fellas are virtual unknowns. We know Danikowski has a good kick, and sure enough, he is going with him. Ninow is falling back. It's Danikowski between the two Castro brothers from Portugal. They're all together.
The most important thing for Danikowski to do here is just to relax his face, relax his arms, just get on the shoulder of Domingos Castro right there ahead of him, and just sit on him and wait till this home stretch.
Ninow has fallen badly. He must be tired from his 10K last week. Here comes the kick. It's Danikowski fighting for the lead. They're all together.
And Domingos Castro is out in front. Danikowski is second as they head down the final 50 meters of the men's 10,000. Domingos Castro of Portugal will win it. Danikowski of the United States will be second, and Castro of Portugal will be third. And a very, very happy Domingos Castro from Portugal. Unofficial time, 28:11:22.
That's what you call a real family effort there, Charlie. The two of them working together throughout the race, changing the pace, setting the race up just as they liked it. And you can see that it all came down to the home stretch. Castro had more leg speed. He had a better turnover. You can probably say that the difference was the fact that Danikowski had run that race just last Saturday night. Didn't have quite the good feeling of looseness that he'd want to have as he came to a home stretch battle like this.
Mark, and what a battle it was. Go ahead, Bill Rogers.
Charlie and Craig, I got that last quarter in about 56 seconds. That's a quick quarter at the end of 25 laps around the track.
It certainly is. Unofficial 28:11:22. You see the two Castro brothers from Portugal. Domingos is the one on the left. He was the one that finished first. Dionisio Castro on the right. He was 18th at the World Cross Country Championships. But Portugal takes two of the top three spots in the men's 10,000, while Danikowski, Jerry Danikowski of the United States, who qualified for this meet by winning the tack meet in the United States, finished second.
Got to be happy with that for Jerry. It's his first big international team competition. He showed his medal. He stayed with it all the way. The most important thing in a race like this is to go with the ebb and the flow of the race. He did that. He changed with the different paces. He kept himself right in there, and he did sprint well on the last lap. He just didn't have quite enough to stick it through to the end with the Castro brothers.
Well, the Castro brothers, congratulations to them. First and third. Danikowski gets a silver medal in the men's 10,000 meters. And we'll continue with our Goodwill Games coverage in just a moment. Stay with us.
Ceremony, you will see Edwin Moses receive his gold medal. He ran a time of 47.96, from the chairman of the board of Turner Broadcasting. He's on the left of your screen there, and our boss, Ted Turner, and the man instrumental in the creation of these Goodwill games. So it'll be Edwin Moses in the middle, Alexander Vasilyev, who finished second, and David Patrick of the USA, and Nick Charles, Edwin Moses, and the streak just keeps coming.
It really does, and we didn't know. There was that unknown, intriguing factor going in, Bob. He had had one race in almost 2 years. Could he just turn it on again? And he did. 47.96, second best in the world this year.
There's Ted Turner. He's been at most of the venues here. Ted is very pleased with us because in so many adventures that he started, just like CNN several years ago, people said, this can't be done, Ted. And the broadcasters and the executives, including, of course, Bob Wessler, the general manager of the game, worked in cooperation with the amateur athletic federations, with the Soviet Union, and indeed, the Goodwill Games are happening, and indeed, you're seeing on your television screen Ted Turner awarding the gold medal for the 400-meter hurdles to Edwin Moses of the United States. 47.96, an excellent time. The best time of 1986 was run by Danny Harris of Iowa State University at Oslo on the 5th of July, 47.82. So 47.96 for Moses today, an outstanding time for him. And his biggest competitor from the Soviet Union, Alexander Vasilyev, finished second at 48.24.
Right, and the U.S. picks up a bronze, David Patrick, very capable runner, but nobody, again, as you said, Bob, could touch Edwin Moses.
111 consecutive wins for Moses, and it just seems as if he is literally indefatigable. He's a better hurdler than I am at pronouncing indefatigable, and what a picture that is there. The Goodwill flame in the background, Edwin Moses with the gold medal at the Goodwill Games for the 400-meter intermediate hurdles. And Moses ran a very clean, strong race, too, extending himself as he neared the finish line. He was never challenged once again.
As we listen to a very familiar sound.
With the results from the 10,000-meter race in just a moment.
Turner Network Television Goodwill Games coverage continues after this short...
Results of the 10,000-meter race that was run just a few moments ago. A spectacular finish, and let's get those unofficial results right now from the 10,000-meter.
Thank you very much, Bob Neal. Unofficial results of the 10,000-meter. These are now official. 28-11 for the winner. 28-11, 21 for the winner. 28-11-87. That was the young man from Portugal, Domingos Castro. Also, Jerry Donakowski of the United States, second, 28-11-87. And the other Castro, the brother from Portugal, finished third, 28-12-04. Those are the official results of the men's 10,000 meters. And we'll be back with more of our Goodwill Games coverage. But first, let's stay with us right now. This is the national anthem of Canada, and this is in honor of Ben Johnson, who won the men's 100-meter dash. He finished first. Let's listen. 9:95. Ben Johnson of Canada, fastest at sea level, and we'll be back with more Goodwill Games coverage in just a moment. This is Charlie Neal along with Craig Masback, and we're getting ready for the women's 1,500 meters. We're live at Lenin Central Stadium. The world record is held by Tatyana of the Soviet Union. Set that back in 1980. Mary Slaney of the United States holds the American record of 3:57.12. That world record is 3:52.47. European record again, the same young lady who holds the world record. And they're getting ready to start this race. And talk about the Americans in the race quickly. Grigoric of the United States, Detlefson also of the United States. She's 23 years of age. She's in the all red uniforms, wearing number 743. And then there's Lynn Jennings, who came here invited, 26 years of age, from the United States. She's wearing number 512.
I think this is an important race for our American women, Charlie, because other than Mary Slaney, we haven't had people that have competed with the best in the world. The Soviets have one of the best 1,500-meter runners ever in this race, Rabilia Aglatinova. She was ranked #1 in the world in 1984, ranked 3rd last year. She's run one of the fastest times ever. It's a good test for them. Can they step up that one level higher from where they are now to the world-class level?
Young lady in front right now, Svetlana Katova of the Soviet Union. Personal record this year, 4:03.77. World record 3:52.47. Let's talk about the two Italians in the race right now. You have Roberta Brunet and Argesi Fosama. We talk about them mainly because their countrywoman, Gabriella Dorio, who won the 1984 gold medal at the Olympics, is not here.
Dorio, of course, is taking some time off, but Dorio was more of an 800, 1,500-meter specialist. Posama is the better of these two athletes. She's really stepping down from the 3,000. I wouldn't expect that she'd be a factor.
This is the women's 1,500 meter. It's a 3 3/4 laps, just 120 yards shy of a mile, and Lynn Jennings of the United States is right up in the pack. She's in second place right now.
Let me point out, Charlie, that people shouldn't look for her to have USA on her chest. She's wearing the colors of Athletics West. She's an invited athlete by the Soviets, and she's really an interesting story. This is not her main event, and it's great to see her running aggressively out there. She was second in the World Cross Country Championships this year. That's a distance of 5 kilometers. She's very versatile. She won the indoor 2-mile run at the TAC Championships, establishing a world best. She's one of the best distance runners in the world. She's stepping down this year for some easy running in the 1,500. I hope she finds it tonight.
Well, she's running neck and neck with the young lady Katova of the Soviet Union, Lynn Jennings of the United States. And Katova, Lynn Jennings, has just dropped back just a little to 3rd place. This is the women's 1,500 meters.
Well, you know what we see out front now are the Soviets right out first, and well, no, Lynn Jennings is managing to keep that position right up in the front there. It looked like the Soviets were going to make a move, and that's what we've seen in some of the other races, Charlie. In 3,000 meters against Patty Sue Plummer, they blocked her out. And against Cindy Brimser in the 5,000, the Soviets teamed up and blocked her out when she wanted to make her move. You could say the Soviets have a little Soviet block there in some of these track races. But the thing is that Lynn Jennings is preventing them from doing that by staying right on the shoulder of Katova.
And talking about Lynn Jennings, second at the World Cross Country Championships. And she says she's basically running this 1,500 for experience.
Well, she says next year is the big year that counts, the World Championships. The year after, of course, the Olympics. Those are the races she's most interested in. She wants to run that 10,000 meters at the 1988 Olympics.
And that's Lynn Jennings on the left side, up front, in the front row, running right next to the Soviet young lady, Katova.
They're coming down to 1 lap to go, Charlie, and I'm afraid that this puts the Americans in a very difficult position because the pace is kind of slow. And it's going to come down to a kick just like we saw in that 10,000 meters. Aglatinova of the Soviet Union has a blistering kick, and we're going to see her break out of this pack any moment, I think.
And Detlefson, the other American young lady, 23 years of age, who won tack, is in 4th place. And now they start the kick on the back stretch.
But look at the courage of Lynn Jennings. We see her. She just got past there as the Soviet runner Samolenko takes the lead. But Lynn Jennings was right in position when she wanted to be. Now Samolenko, and we see on the outside of her number 611, that's Aglatinova, who has the kick I talked about.
Aglatinova's in 2nd place. Samolenko is in 1st place. The Soviets are running 1, 2, and 3 right now. Samolenko out in front. And it's Aglatinova in 2nd spot, and Katova is in 3rd. The top 3 spots being held down by the Soviets right now. 1, 2, 3 Soviet finish. It's a team race between the 2 Soviets, and it's Samolenko is going to win it. Aglatonova will finish second, and in third place will be Katova. 1, 2, 3 for the Soviets.
That's an extremely fast finish. Looked like it was under 60 seconds, which you rarely see in female middle distance running. It showed the control of the Soviets. You could see the leg turnover that they have as they come off the threesome, come off the turn into the home stretch. They just have tremendous turnover, almost like what they call a sewing machine. Tuck, 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 as they run down the home stretch. Very, very efficient running. It's what our American runners often lack in the middle and distance races.
4:05:52, the unofficial time. As you look at the end, 4th and 5th place went to the Romanians, as you saw them crossing the line right there. And we'll be back with more Goodwill Games coverage in just a moment.
What an afternoon of track and field, water polo. It's been incredible here. Of course, it's at nighttime in the Soviet Union. We're 8 hours ahead of the Eastern time zone in the United States. Tonight, coming up on our primetime show, we'll have some women's volleyball, and some interesting things are happening there with women's volleyball. Quickly, Nick, I'll just put it this way. The U.S. women are not technically out of a hunt for a medal. If some things were to happen, the U.S. women could get into that round of 4 for a medal, and U.S. men's basketball continues. The U.S. men are playing Puerto Rico, and I'll be back with Marianne Laughlin.
But the women have to win, of course, tonight.
Absolutely.
Huh? Okay, we'll see you tonight with Marianne Laughlin, Bob. What a night, again, as Bob Neal mentioned. Track and field, I guess the dual story certainly right now would be Edwin Moses returns to the winner's circle. He has not lost now in 111 straight, nearly 9 years. And the other story, Ben Johnson beat Carl Lewis for the 2nd consecutive time in the 100-meter dash. So that's the story in track and field, but there is more to come. Evelyn Ashford is in action, and so are the U.S. women in the 4x100. And for that, we will join Charlie Neal shortly. But first, these words as the Goodwill Games continue from Moscow. Stay with us.
You're looking live at Lennon Central Stadium as we get ready for the women's 4x100 meter relay. Charlie Neal along with Dr. Leroy Walker and Willie Galt joining me for this one. It should be an exciting race. The world record held by the East German team. They set it at the World Cup in 1985, 41:37. You're looking at the record there, the Olympic record, also held by East Germany. The American record held set at the National Sports Festival back in 1983, 41:61. Alice Brown, Diane Williams, Chandra Cheeseborough, and Evelyn Ashford were members of that team. Today's 4x100 meter relay team consists of Michelle Finn. She'll run the open leg. Randy Givens will run the second leg. Diane Williams the third, and Evelyn Ashford the anchor leg.
Charlie, the important thing here is that the front three must come into that last pass-off with Evelyn in reasonable position. Our problem is always a matter of just putting our team together and not having enough fine-tuned baton passing. They've got the firepower, and they can run well, but the problem is going to be, can they get the handoffs good enough to handle the Soviets?
And the reason why most time is that the U.S. team doesn't have an opportunity to work together all year like the Soviets team. They just put teams together. They're off.
The Soviets' best team is in lane number 1. Their B team is in lane number 5. And there is the first handoff from Michelle Fenn to Randy Givens. Randy Givens really motoring for the United States. You see her.
That's Diane Williams. That's Diane Williams. She's
Diane
handing
Williams
off to Randy now.
Running the second leg. We had some misinformation there, but we'll correct it.
Now Randy.
Now here's Randy Givens. Randy Givens ran at 200 meters here in just the other day. And here's Evelyn Ashford.
Here she comes. She's coming, Charlie.
Evelyn Ashford last 50 meters, and look at Evelyn Ashford in the women's 4x100 meter relay. The United States wins it. Evelyn Ashford, unofficial time, 42:15.
Evelyn Ashford was within striking distance at all times, and she knew she had the race in control from the time she got the baton. She was down about 2 meters. Here you can see Randy Givens is known as not very, very fast coming out. She got out, and the Soviet runner really ran up on her. Evelyn knows right now that she has to really run. She got the baton. She's well within striking distance. There's the Evelyn Ashford of old time. Look at her form of technique. She just blows by her and leans at the tape. Great run by Evelyn.
42:15, the unofficial time. We talk about that young lady, Evelyn Ashford, anchored the leg on the 1984 gold medal relay team. He has a 14-month-old daughter, holds the record in the 100 meters, ran a 10:91 in the 100 meters here Sunday night. And I'll tell you, she's really continuing her comeback after that layoff for having her child.
And Charlie, the important thing is they got adequate passes. They had 2 good passes and an adequate pass, and that was enough to give Evelyn position, and that's all she needed. She came out with pretty good momentum, which you have to have.
Okay, and we'll be back with the men's 4x100-meter relay in just a moment. Congratulations to the American women for winning just moments ago.
The wardrobe for the talent of the Goodwill Games has been provided by the John White's Companies.
Charlie Neal, along with Leroy Walker and Willie Gault, back here live at Lennon Central Stadium. The official results of the women's 4x100, 42-12. That was for the American women who won. The Soviets 42-27. That is the official time of the women's 4x100. Now we're getting ready for the men's 4x100. Willie Gault ran the second leg of that team that won the 1983 World Cup Championship in Helsinki. And do you miss being out there?
Oh, yes, Charlie. As I know you knew earlier from the 100 meters, I mean, I'm just annihilated as far as what's going on here. I mean, it's a great competition. And the thing about this relay, you have 2 young guys who are first and second. It's very important for them to get out good and get the baton so you can give it to Harvey and Carl. Give Carl within striking distance. That's right, Dr. Walker?
Yeah, Willie, the essence of this is going to be how well McRae can run this turn. He does run very well. And if he comes in, you know, Hurd is a power runner because he's great in the 200. And if McRae comes in strong enough and let him run that back stretch, then they have enough firepower to really run great time in this race. Harvey Glance is one of the best corner runners going, and you know what Carl Lewis can do.
You want your best runners at second and last, hopefully. You need a good first leg. They're even right now. The Soviet runner is really running. They're even. You need a good baton.
And there's Lee McRae's pass off to Floyd Hurd. Hurd 1 to 200 meters attack. And there's Floyd Hurd.
We're leading by about 1 yard.
Harvey Glance now the third leg. Harvey Glance ran on the 1976 gold medal relay team that Leroy Walker coached. Carl Lewis is running the anchor.
The U.S. should win.
To Carl Lewis.
No problem, Carl.
Carl Lewis coming down the stretch.
Oh!
It's going to be tough.
Go, Carl.
Lewis pulls ahead. Last 15 meters, and it's Carl Lewis and the Americans winning the 4x100-meter relay, the unofficial time, 38:02.
Well, Charlie, the essence of this race was that all of the baton passing were adequate in a group that really hadn't done a lot of this.
You know,
McRae did not really have as strong a curve, Willie, as I thought he could have. But Hurd ran strong and came into Harvey Glance. Watch the pass here. Harvey came off well to him.
Carl knows he has the race in total control right now. He knows he can run. He has it. 38:02 would have been the world record 3 or 4 years ago. We broke that record 37:86. This would have been a world record in 1982. This is a great time, 38:02, for a team who's only worked together this first race that all these teams run together.
Now let's look at it once again. The race from the start.
The important part is that the first runner gets out to a great start. They came in, the first runner brought it in even with the Soviet runner, and we stayed even until we got the baton to Harvey, basically.
And you notice here that you've got to run right on that border, because if you run 1 foot out farther than you should, you got to run 3 feet farther than the next man.
That's right. And it's okay for Carl or someone like that to run 3 further, but the first and second man should try to run the right distance. Here you see the baton pass to Harvey.
And there's Harvey Glance, the experienced guy. Ran on that 1976 gold medal relay team that Leroy Walker coached. Still, you knew he could do well, didn't you?
You're really right, Charlie. I've always had great confidence in Harvey, and here he's showing it. Look how he's on that border with coming into Carl for a good pass. Strong enough pass for Carl to really move.
I call Harvey the grandfather of the sport. And, of course, Carl Lewis, all he needs is to be down 1 or 2 meters with a regular person, and he'll win the race.
That's Victor Brizgin of the Soviet Union that he's passing right there. Carl ran the anchor leg on the 1984 gold medal relay team that set a world record. And that world record, 37:83. Unofficial time here, 38:02.
From a coach's standpoint, though, I still don't like to coast through that finish line.
And we'll
come
back with the official results in just a moment from the 4x100-meter relay for the men.
Looking live at Lennon Central Stadium, where the United States has just completed a sweep of both women's and men's 4x100-meter relay. The men are on the track right now. Lee McRae, Harvey Glantz, Floyd Hurd, and running the anchor leg, Carl Lewis, to close the show as the Americans score in 38.02 and win the gold medal. Let's go to Craig Masbach for more.
37.98. You guys were awesome. Lee McRae on the leadoff. You're still a young guy. Did you feel the responsibility as you led off the team?
Well, it was a bad 100, and I wanted to get out and do well on the relay, and all of us said for me to go out and take charge on the first leg, and that's what I did.
You certainly did. You really made up for that 100. Floyd Hurd, you look great down the backstretch. Who are you trying to look like? Willie Gault back there?
Carl Lewis, probably. I was trying to look like him. I just got out there and did my job, you know, being aggressive on the back straight, which I was planning on doing.
That was a tremendous effort. And Harvey Glantz, the captain of the team, the guy who always comes through. The Soviets were still with us when we got to that turn. What was going through your mind?
Well, my only concern was getting called a stick. We had planned on putting them up 5 meters ahead, but you had to give the Soviet Union a lot of credit. They ran extremely fast. I'm pretty anxious to see myself what their time was, because I'm sure they ran up under 38.2. So with that in mind, we had to run fast.
Well, you certainly brought us around the turn well. And Carl, I know you were disappointed after that 100. It showed on your face. You walked off the track dejectedly. When you put that stick in your hand, something happens. You always run great.
Well, you know, the relay is an important part, and when you have 3 guys that can run that fast, to put you out, then your responsibility is to bring it home. I've always been in a good position because the American team has such good sprinters, and I wanted to make up for it. Extremely poor 100, so all of us had something to prove.
Well, it was a great effort by everybody. Tremendous team effort. Congratulations, guys.
First class all the way around. Unofficial time now, 37.90, just 7/100ths off the world record set in the '84 Olympics by the U.S. team, anchored also then by Carl Lewis. We'll be back. There was a key women's basketball game today. We'll be back to tell you and show you some of that. Stay with us. Welcome back to the Soviet Union, where the United States just beat the Soviet Union, 2 of their teams, to win the gold medal in the 4x100 men's relay. And once again, Lee McRae, Harvey Glantz, Floyd Hurd, and Carl Lewis did it in the time of 37.98. That's a little fatter than I thought, but I'd say still an awfully sleek time. The world record is 37.83. Now to the women's basketball. The United States and the Soviet Union headed for an apparent showdown. Both are 3-0 moving into action tonight. But first, the Soviets, with a very tall order, get by Brazil. Let's go and pick up the action from the Druzhba Gymnasium.
And this has been quite a surprising ball game. We have just started the second half, 18:49 left to play. You see Hortensia at the free throw line for Brazil. They lead 43, make it 44-40 over the Soviet Union. Hortensia has 23 points. The Brazilian team had led by as many as 14 early in the first half, but late in the game, the coach for the Soviet team, Kapanov, has put Uliana Semyonova into the ball game, the 7'1" 3/4" center, and since that time, the Soviets have made a move back, Bill.
That completely turned the ball game around, Rick.
Farrell for the Soviet Union. Rebound, Hortensia. Having by far her best game of this Goodwill Games competition. That's De Silva with an excellent individual effort. She has 10 points now.
I think that the Brazilians are intimidated inside by the big Soviets.
Well, the head coach, Maria Cardoza, said if their team would just play their game and not be intimidated by Ileana, that they would have an excellent opportunity of winning. And there she is with yet another easy basket. As she drops it in with that left hand of hers, she has 10 points in very limited playing time. She's gotten 6 quick points here to start this second half off. We've played 2 minutes, and it's a 5-point lead, 47-42 for Brazil. That was knocked out of bounds by Moravova. Hortensia. Good fake to get the paratrooper member in there. The paratrooper was Kundrevatova. But the Soviet Union with a chance to narrow the gap. Good ball movement from the outside. The shot. Not to drop by Yevkablova. Hortensia tripped up, gets it over to De Silva, and all of a sudden the Brazilians start to go a little cold as they lead by 5. And that'll be a backcourt by no. Good play by De Silva. As it looked like it was going to be backcourt, the Soviets hesitated. Bill and De Silva
that was a great
took advantage of it.
That's just heads-up ball.
12 points now for Paulo De Silva, the leading scorer in the competition thus far. The second leading scorer in the competition is Hortensia. However, with the way she's playing, if she continues it, she may very well overtake her teammate. Yakovleva, three-pointer. Sobral battles inside and is fouled. Kundrevatova picks up the foul against Sobral, who had a very good first half, Bill, coming up with 11 points and doing a good job on the boards.
And she's doing a good job trying to help out on the big Soviet. She's double teaming, one in front, one in back, so that they're going to make the other guys shoot, other women shoot, and then pound the boards.
Nice little move. Bertolotti on the screen and roll. She called for traveling. No, they say she crashed in to the opposing player, and she will be called for an offensive foul. Looked like she had traveled before the contact.
Oh, yeah, she's taken enough steps to get her halfway to the Ukraine.
If that's where she'd like to go. 7-point lead, 16-25 remaining in this ball game. An upset possibly in the making, as Yakovleva can't get it to drop. Farrell will go to the line as the foul, the third of the game, is picked up by Sobral for Brazil. And that was the one question that we had, Bill, in watching this game develop, was whether or not the Brazilian team would be able to sustain. Their head coach, Maria Cardoza, has made only one substitution, that being in the back court. And now she's forced to make another with Sobral picking up her third personal foul. She's going to go to the bench again, and she's going to bring in Ruth Roberta de Souza, the youngest player on this team at 18, and she's 6'1½". She'll be coming in the next opportunity. And the Soviet Union has cut it back to a 5-point deficit. Hortensia. She is a fine shooter. 26 points now for Hortensia.
She has as fine a release on that shot as you're going to see anywhere.
And she shoots a pure jump shot. It's not a set shot like so many of the players throw up there. She is a jump shooter. 3-point try, Yakovleva. She has been ice cold from out in that range, and I think she's hurt the Soviet cause. Even though she's the leading scorer with 14, I guarantee you, Bill, that woman is an offensive player because she has no conscience.
None at all, all right?
None at all. She is playing the percentages to the hilt.
She says the only way you get out of slump is you got to shoot your way out.
This is true. The odds are working in her favor, she's figuring. And there you see De Souza, number 14, setting that screen for Hortensia. Good play. And De Souza was a bit late trying to make that roll and couldn't quite pick up the pass as it didn't come up high. And there's the head coach, Maria Helena Cardoza for Brazil.
Saying, wake up.
Torniquito, number 7, into the ball.
But when you pass it to a tall person, never deliver the ball below the knees if you can avoid it. Even short people don't like it below their knees, but especially the tall people.
That's speaking from experience, right? Torniquito. Good screen off on the part of De Souza. She kept Uliana away from the boards. It's now a 3-on-1 break for Brazil. De Silva. Sobral on the rebound, off the miss by De Lima. Sobral, 13 points. Playing with those 3 personal fouls. I thought that De Souza, number 14, was going to come in for Sobral when she picked up the foul, but obviously she's remaining in. So only 2 substitutes have played for the Brazilian team. Soviets have used a lot of players from about 19 feet. That won't drop in. The rebound foul doesn't go in for Kundrevatova, and the Brazilians come away with it. Nice play on the part of Moravova. She gets it over to Kundrevatova, and the basket will count for Semyonova.
Semyonova has got a soft touch.
She does. She has a very nice touch, and you'll see it right here on the free throw line.
You know what that means, Rick? You know what that means? She's going to miss it. She said
You
that.
called it. We have the kiss of death, don't we, to players on the free throw line. Hortensia grabs from behind. The foul going to be called against Moravova. Why don't you run down, Bill, what Semyonova has done so far in the tournament?
Well, in the first game, she didn't play against Czechoslovakia. Game 2 against Yugoslavia, she played 27 minutes. The whole first half and a little of the second, in the second half, 4 for 5 from the floor, 80%, 3 rebounds, 2 block shots, and countless intimidations. In the third game, she played 8 minutes the second half and wasn't just only got 1 rebound and missed the only shot she took, no points and 1 rebound. But
I guess
she's been very effective today.
She has been. This is by far her best performance, as Hortensia will go to the line on that silly foul on the part of the Soviets. And you can see a concerned group of young women looking on.
They're not concerned yet.
No, well, they will be when they have to play the Soviet team tomorrow. But this could make for a very interesting situation because the American team will have to go up against the Bulgarian team, who actually really kind of didn't even show up for the second half of the game against the Soviet Union yesterday when they played them tough in the first half. Hortensia now with 28 points. 9-point lead again for Brazil. But should the Soviet Union lose and the United States team win, that would set up still the American team playing the Soviets for the gold.
And a lot of unique combinations could come out of that, Rick.
Yes, it could. If the Brazil team wins and they win tomorrow, we could have a 3-way tie if the Soviet Union were to beat the United States tomorrow, providing the U.S. won today. And the shot inside. Tourniqueto cuts it back to a 7-point lead. That may have sounded a little confusing, but we'll straighten it out.
Oh, really? I think we just leave it like that, Rick.
Okay. Well, everybody say there, what did he say? Kept alive by De Souza. Goes back to Hortensia. De Souza again over Uliana. She gets the block, and that's the brawl. So the Brazilians playing with a great deal of emotion and playing with a lot of confidence and also playing very good basketball.
A little hard-nosed because she hit Simonova a couple of times in the face, which she didn't like.
3-point try. De Silva. She has not had one of her better shooting games, and if she were to get the hot hand, Brazil would be in fine shape. Knocked away by Sobral.
Good
It goes to De Silva. 3 against 2. De Silva to Hortensia. Hortensia.
Great shot that was.
30 points and counting for Hortensia. 13:07 left in this ball game, and Brazil in control, leading 57-48. A big upset in the making. 11:25 remaining in this game, and a tremendous effort on the part of the Brazilian team as they lead the Soviet Union 61-50. They pulled a big upset in game 1, beating Bulgaria. There's a 3-point try by Szydlowska. Not to be, as the Soviet Unions are ice cold from long range, and the Brazilian team playing inspired ball behind the leadership of Hortensia. Offensively, her finest game of the tournament. 32 points she has. And there's De Silva with yet another good play defensively. She'll make the easy pass. Oh, she didn't get it past Szydlowska. You have to credit her with an excellent play defensively. And De Silva was hit in the mouth, and that's very painful because, Bill, she has
braces.
Right, braces
Just
on.
a kid.
Just a kid, exactly. Maria Paula Gonzalez de Silva, 23 years old. She's been playing on the national team since she was 14 years old. She's 5'8.5", the leading scorer in the tournament. Number 2 right behind her is Hortensia, her teammate. After this ball game, Hortensia will probably take over the leadership. Cheryl Miller is 3rd, and you can see our bird's eye view here of the telecast. It's been very warm here in the Soviet Union. That's why we're down to our shirt sleeves and tie. I'm glad that you wait a second, you don't have a tie on, Bill. Getting casual on me again.
Come back a half an hour later. No shirt.
61-50. 10:53 remaining in this ball game. It has been a gutsy performance on the part of this Brazilian team. In fact, the Soviet coach was afraid of this Brazilian team because of the 2 players that we've talked about so much, Hortensia and De Silva. Good defensive play that time by Burrell, number 6. Ilyana Semyonova has been in the game since late in the second half. She did a good job of helping out early in this second half to cut the Brazil lead down to only 3 points, but since then Brazil has really taken control again. There's Hortensia with a nice rebound. Soviets back very well, and a good play by Barudyakina, who has just entered the game. She was the starting guard for all of the games and spent the start of the second half on the bench. So their head coach Vadim Kapanov making some changes, trying to find the combination that will work against this inspired Brazilian team. 10:20 left in the game. 61-50 Brazil. That's Hortensia. Great pass. Traveling called on De Silva. Those are the kind of plays these Brazilian girls, both she and De Silva, make all of the time. They have great athletic ability. 2 of the finest players in the tournament. I would say De Silva's the best backcourt player, Bill, and Teresa Edwards is real close to her. And I would say that Hortensia may be the best offensive player, but she doesn't do other things. And Cheryl Miller's probably the best frontline player. 3-point try, and finally, count it. One of them dropped for Yakovleva, and I told you she has no conscience, and the percentages did catch up for her, Bill.
Jump ball, good defensive effort on the part of Burrell for the Soviet Union.
Yeah, she caught him napping. They threw the ball in without looking, and she was being sneaky. And it's hard for one that tall to be sneaky.
61-53. The Soviet Union looks like they're going to put together yet another challenge to this Brazilian team, and whether or not the Brazilians can sustain remains to be seen. They have played literally with 7 players. Only 1 substitution in the first half, 1 here in the second half. Sobral, another 3-point try, count it for Yakovleva. She has warmed up 2 in a row for her, and it's now a 5-point lead for Brazil, the lowest that it has been for quite some time. 9.5 to play. Those players, you see De Silva, Sobral, and also Hortensia have played the entire game thus far. Sobral, good screen. Hortensia, air ball. Worst shot she's taken. Knocked away by Sobral. That'll be her 4th personal foul. And should she foul out of this game, that could change the complexion dramatically. Coming into the game for the Soviet Union will be Kariksha, number 14. Going to the bench, Burrell, number 6. And you can see Coach Cardozo sending Bertolotti to the scorer's table. She more than likely will come in for Sobral, who's playing with 4 fouls. But of course, we thought that once before, and that did not happen. That's Barujakina. Yakovleva with the 3rd try from out there. Not to be. Sobral has the rebound, fouled from behind by Kariksha. That will be the 5th team foul against the Soviet Union. Brazil also with 5 team fouls, and Bertolotti indeed does come in for number 11, Sobral, the Brazilian answer to Grace Jones. There's Bertolotti. And that's De Silva. De Silva with 12 points only in this ball game. Hortensia, and she has started to cool off.
Well, jump shooters are usually streak shooters, aren't they, Rick?
Sometimes. But I think Hortensia is a streak shooter. 3-point try, Shidlauskaite. Buryakina didn't get the right spin, and Uliana Semyonova is there. She knows how to get position, and all of a sudden the Soviet Union has narrowed the gap to 3. They got this close here early in the second half, only to have the Brazilians pull away. We have 8:10 left to play. Can the Brazilians sustain? Semyonova made De Silva change the shot. Now it's 3 against 2 for the Soviet Union. Kariksha cuts it to a 1-point lead now for the Soviet Union with 8 minutes left. Timeout for Brazil.
Welcome back to Moscow and the Goodwill Games. Modern pentathlon came to a climax today. This is a series of 5 events: fencing, swimming, shooting, riding, and finally cross-country competition to find a champion. Now, the Soviets have 5,000 modern pentathletes in training. We have 50 in our country. Thus, no American woman has ever won a medal in modern pentathlon international competition. But one American woman had an outside shot today. And for the action, let's go to Craig Sager and Bob Neiman.
The pentathlon was the most prestigious event in the ancient Olympics, but it wasn't until centuries later, in 1977, that it became an event for the women. The United States has never had a woman win a medal in world competition. But Bob, today after this final event, there could be a first.
Well, the story in the run today is Lori Norwood. 2 days ago, she was virtually out of it. She had her best ever international shoot, moving up to 7th place. And with a good run today, which is her best event, she could be in there for a medal.
But nobody's going to catch Tatyana Cherniyetskaya, the winner?
I think Tanya's going to distance the field and will be the standard in this one.
We're going to have the staggered start. As we mentioned, just 3 seconds separating the top 2 runners, Cherniyetskaya of the Soviet Union and Sophie Morrissey of France. Barbara Kataski of Poland will be starting 3rd, 26 seconds behind the leader. Allison Reed of the United States will be starting 4th. We keep talking about Lori Norwood, but Allison starts ahead of her.
Allison starts ahead of her,
and they're off. Tatyana Cherniyetskaya of the Soviet Union is the leader, and 3 seconds later, Sophie Morrissey. And they are going to be chasing them. What kind of runner is Sophie Morrissey?
Sophie Morrissey is a good runner, but she's not good enough to catch Tatyana, I don't think, today.
And, of course, getting ready to start next will be Barbara Kataski and then Allison Reed. What about Allison?
Allison's a good runner, but not good enough to stay with the leaders here in this field. But she's got a dog race between the 3 people she's competing against.
And that is the leader, Tatyana Cherniyetskaya, as she leaves our stadium. Now out of the starting blocks is Barbara Kotowski. She has to pick up 26 seconds. She is a former world champion.
This is a 2,000-meter course. They've got to go 1.25 miles.
And Allison Reed is now off as well. That's number 6, Carolyn Delamer of France. Laurie Norwood will be next out of the starting blocks.
And
she's there Holland. She goes. You'll be picking her up in your picture shortly as you see a big bunch after the first 2 leaders. Number 3 right there is Barbara Kotowski, followed by Allison Reed, number 4. And right behind her is Tanya Meyer of West Germany. And out of the starting blocks now, Linda Miller of the United States and Sabina Kraft of West Germany.
Boy, Linda's taking it out, too.
Linda is a good runner.
Here comes Laurie Norwood. She's passed her first runner. She's caught her already.
Laurie Norwood has moved into 6th place. She had picked up already 5 seconds. As the leaders continue to move out front, several runners are still waiting to leave the starting gate. What would the strategy be here? To get out there as quick as you can?
Well, you can run either one of 2 strategies. You can either take it out and try to put some distance on the field, or else you can run the race that is the best pace for your ability, and the runner must decide how to adapt.
Now you see Allison Reed. Allison Reed is in a big group right there. Already Laurie Norwood has caught her. Laurie Norwood has already moved into 4th place. She knows that she does not have a lot of time and a lot of space to pick up 46 seconds. Her strategy, obviously, from Janusz Paychek is to get out there in a hurry. Tatyana Cherniyetskaya continues to be the leader, and behind her is Sophie Morrissey. Looking at Sophie Morrissey and Tanya Meyer as well, Tatyana Cherniyetskaya appears to be, running very smoothly.
And she looked back there. I think she's very comfortable. She feels comfortable with the course, and I don't think she's worried at all.
Barbara Kotowski of Poland, the former world champion, appears to have dropped back. And there right behind her is Laurie Norwood, already moving up to 4th place, and now trying to catch the 3rd runner, Barbara Kotowski.
Well, Barbara's definitely vulnerable to Laurie here. Laurie's a good runner. Now that she can see her, it's really going to help.
What about the course? Is it easier at the beginning or towards the end? And there's Allison Reed, number 4.
Well, the course really starts out uphill, so it's a little bit of a problem, but it's an easy course all the way through, and it's going to be fast.
There's Laurie Norwood. Where are they in the course right now?
Well, they're crossing a gully that's over a creek, and they're about halfway through the course. So she's gained a lot of ground, but she's starting to run out of time. She's going to have to keep this pace up and catch her.
And there you see it right ahead of her, Barbara Kotowski. This is the hardest part of the course, where they're going uphill.
They're going to go a roller coaster. They're going to go uphill, downhill, and that's the nature of pentathlon. They've got to get about 30 meters rise and fall in that space.
Tatyana Cherniyetskaya continues to be the leader. There you see one of her
He's
fans.
not allowed to do that. That's against the rules. She can get disqualified for that.
Well, what if she didn't tell him to?
I don't know if it makes a whole lot of difference. We see some of the other runners back on the course.
It's only 1.25 miles, but because of the terrain, as you see, it makes it a much more difficult course.
And you can hear them crunching. That's because they're running in spikes. It's a nice, hard-packed soil course, and a spike works great on that, a short spike.
This is the 5th day of the event. What type of tiring factor do you have at this point?
Well, they're exhausted. Here's Tanya looking back again. They're really tired, but all you got to do is get that energy up for just 2,000 meters, and so you can do it, but you have to really drive yourself.
Tatyana Cherniyetskaya took the early lead. She was 1st overall, and now you see Sophie Morrissey coming into 2nd place. Tatyana Cherniyetskaya has now left the woods. She is now heading towards the stadium, and she has increased her lead over Sophie Morrissey.
And she's got a comfortable lead. She's got a strong drive. I don't think she's going to have any trouble winning this race.
That's Sophie Morrissey of France in 2nd. We're again waiting for Laurie Norwood to emerge from the birch forest.
Sophie Morrissey took it out pretty fast. She looks like she's struggling now.
Number 7, Laurie Norwood. She has moved into 3rd place.
Oh, and it's going to help her now that she can see Sophie Morrissey.
Tatyana Cherniyetskaya appears to have a safe lead for 1st. But Laurie Norwood not only is satisfied with 3rd, looks like she has her sights on 2nd. She is trying to catch Sophie Morrissey. And look at Laurie Norwood come around. You see right here the leader, Tatyana Cherniyetskaya.
Yeah, Tanya's going to have no problem winning this race.
She's got about a 5-second lead over the 2nd place runner, Sophie Morrissey. But as we mentioned, Laurie Norwood in 3rd place in the United States, trying to win the 1st medal for the U.S. women ever in modern pentathlon. And, of course, that would also help the United States team chances as well. But into the stadium they go. This is the equestrian course. And Tatyana Cherniyetskaya is in the lead. In 2nd place, Sophie Morrissey.
Well, Laurie's not going to catch her, but she's had a great race.
A tremendous race for Laurie Norwood, and you consider that she started 46 seconds later.
Sophie Morrissey looked back.
Cherniyetskaya coming towards the finish line. And there she is, a gold medal for Tatyana Cherneyevskaya of the Soviet Union, the world's most complete athlete. A tremendous run for Lori Norwood. She is going to win a medal, Bob.
And you know how tired she is. She's trying to get into the finish.
Lori Norwood is going to come in third place, the bronze medal for the United States.
First ever in a major international tournament for Lori Norwood.
The first time a U.S. woman has ever won a medal. Barbara Kotowski is going to finish fourth. Following her, making up a lot of ground, is number 20, Natalia Andreeva.
The exhaustion's written all over these girls' faces. It's not hot today, but yet they must have run a really tough race to be this tired.
Lori Norwood, 21 years old, from Bryan, Texas. She is 5'6", 125 pounds, a University of Texas student. She's majoring in sculpture, and she has given the United States its first medal ever at U.S. Women's Pentathlon World Competition. And Lori Norwood is now with Bob Neiman.
Lori, no American athlete for the women have ever placed this high in a major international pentathlon competition before. Good feeling?
A great feeling, and surprising. I was pretty far behind to begin with in the run, but hey, hopefully it'll happen more often.
Oh, really? You were 7th starting out. Now, you had to have a strategy before you started the race.
Well, sure. Basically, what I was shooting for was 3rd place because, well, obviously the medals are the thing to shoot for, and the first 2 places were pretty far ahead. So, but I knew when I started, I watched Kotowska, which is the Polish girl that started in 3rd, and I pretty much knew at the beginning of the race, after the first 500 or so, that she wasn't going to be running that strong and was going to come back to me a little. But the only unknown factor were some of the other runners that I didn't know how they were going to run. So it was pretty unknown until the last 500.
The gold medal goes to Tatyana Cherneyevskaya of the Soviet Union. The silver to Sophie Morrissey of France. But the real story, the bronze, it goes to Lori Norwood of the United States. The team standings, Poland wins it overall, but a respectable finish for the U.S. women's team. They are in 5th place.
What a day it was for Lori Norwood in the United States. First medal ever for women in modern pentathlon. The basketball story of the women's game, the Soviets came back from an 11-point deficit, caught and beat Brazil 77-72. The round-robin format will finish tomorrow night. We will have coverage. The impending showdown, though, between the Soviets and the Americans looks more likely. Soviets did their part. They are 4-0. The U.S. will play Bulgaria later tonight. We will have coverage of that game in our prime time show with Bob Neal and Marianne Laughlin. But the news today, multi-layered in its track and field. The Soviets appeared to have ironed out all the wrinkles after 3 days of controversy in track and field over assignments and arrangements of the lanes. And also, the story, the matchless Edwin Moses won the gold medal in the 400-meter hurdles. His winning string has now stretched to 111 straight. Canadian Ben Johnson, for the 2nd time in 6 weeks, outclassed Carl Lewis in the 100. U.S. teams in the 4x100, men's and women's, both swept gold medals. Evelyn Ashford and Carl Lewis ran the anchor legs. So Edwin Moses, the matchless, peerless Edwin Moses, wins the gold medal. He is definitely back, and here we see him pulling away, striding away to an easy finish. We'll see you tomorrow on the afternoon edition, but remember to stay tuned. Our primetime coverage of the inaugural Goodwill Games continues later this evening with Marianne Laughlin and Bob Neal. Thanks for being with us from Moscow.